Chapter 172. Actually, north, south, west and central are all named according to their positions. As for why there are no countries in the east, it is because that is the endless ocean. It is a vast ocean, so there are no countries. Yunchi replied. A vast ocean? Sima Yue recalled that there were also 7 continents and 4 oceans on Earth. She did not find it strange and said, then are there no people living in those oceans? I don't know if there are people living there. Ouyang Fei said. Because the ocean is more dangerous than Sophia, very few people go there. If there are people living in the ocean, no one will come to the mainland. It is actually more dangerous than Sophia? Fatty Chu said in surprise. Could it be that there are spirit beasts in the ocean? Of course there are. Yunchi said. I once heard from people who came from there that the spirit beasts in the ocean are stronger than those on land. Moreover, many of them live in groups. Once you meet them, there will be thousands or even tens of thousands of them. Once everyone thought of being surrounded by thousands of sea beasts. They could not help but shiver. Everyone chatted and drank until midnight. Sima Yue returned to the room that was arranged for her. She forced out the wine and began to cultivate. If it was really like what Wang Lei and the rest said, that the Sima family was really a first-rate power, then her current strength was not enough. She had to use all the time she had to cultivate. She cultivated for 4 days. In these 4 days, no one came to disturb her. After 4 days, she exited from her cultivation state. She felt that someone was loitering outside. She opened the door and walked out. Yunchi was loitering in the courtyard. When he heard that Sima Yue was not in the room, he did not knock on the door. Now that he saw her come out, he walked over in 2 steps. Yue, you are out. Yunchi, what's the matter? Sima Yue looked around and saw that the others were not around. She asked, where are Ziki and the rest? They all went to the city wall. Yunchi said, I was originally there too. After I received news from my father, I came to find you. I also wanted to see if you were still cultivating. Did you find out about the Sima family? Sima Yue asked. Right, Sima Lin, Sima Kai, and Sima Qing are all from the Central Wu country's Sima family. It seems like your grandfather should also be there. Yunchi said. It's good that we have confirmed their whereabouts. Sima Yue said. At this time, roars suddenly came from the Sophia mountain range. She subconsciously looked in that direction. Is it a beast tide? Yes. Ziki and the rest are all on the city walls. Let's hurry over. I'll tell you the details on the way. Yunchi was a little worried about the situation on the other side. All right. Due to the urgency of the situation, the 2 of them flew directly from the city lord's mansion to the city wall. It turned out that on the 2nd day after Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the Castellan's residence, the people who went to investigate came back with bad news. Just as Little Roar had said, the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range were all restless and restless. Many of the spirit beasts in the middle of the mountain range were moving towards the outskirts in an organized manner. This situation was slightly different from the previous waves of spirit beasts, but their destination was indeed Three Springs City. Originally, they thought that the spirit beasts would wait for some time before attacking. This was because in the past, it would take at least half a month for the spirit beasts to arrive. However, this time was different. On the 2nd morning after the news came back, the soldiers guarding the city discovered that a group of spirit beasts had arrived. Wang Lei hurriedly gathered his men and went to the city walls. He discovered that the spirit beasts that came first did not attempt to attack the humans. Instead, they surrounded the city walls in an orderly manner. It was as if they were waiting for someone to arrive. Sima Yue and Yunchi flew down. The people on the city walls saw them, but did not say anything. Although they were not allowed to fly in the city's airspace normally, it was a special time now. This was not something that everyone cared about. Yue, you've come. Bei Gong Tang and the others said when they saw Sima Yue land beside them. They knew that Sima Yue would sometimes take a long time to comprehend. So when they saw that there was no movement in her room, they told Yunchi not to disturb her, and waited until she woke up on her own. What's the situation like? Sima Yue asked. Take a look for yourself. Wei Ziqi moved aside, allowing Sima Yue to stand in front. Sima Yu looked down and sucked in a breath of air in shock at the scene below. So many spirit beasts. The spirit beasts below were densely packed. They seemed to have taken up all the space outside, extending all the way to the foot of the Sophia mountain range. There were hundreds and thousands of spirit beasts. Isn't it scary? Fatty Chu looked at the spirit beasts below and said, I'm wondering if all the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range have been gathered here. There's too many of them. With just the few of us, will we be able to hold them off? A spirit master's voice came from the side, sounding a little timid. It wasn't just that spirit master. This was the question in many people's hearts. With so many spirit beasts, would they be able to hold them off with just 1,000 spirit masters? Sima Yue looked at the people on the city wall and asked, Yun Qi, have you seen the previous wave of spirit beasts? There are always so many spirit beasts every time. Bai Yunqi didn't think that the number of spirit beasts would increase by quite a bit after she returned. Hearing Sima Yue's question, she shook her head and said, I've been here since the last wave of spirit beasts. At that time, Uncle said that the number of spirit beasts was the highest, but it wasn't even half of this. Wei Ziqi's eyes narrowed. The last wave of spirit beasts was only half a year ago. This time, it's not a normal wave of spirit beasts. Furthermore, looking at how the spirit beasts below are waiting in an orderly manner, it seems like it's organized by someone. Since that's the case, there must be a reason for it. We have to think of a way to find this reason. This might be the key to solving this problem. Hearing this, Bai Yunqi's eyes lit up. She patted Wei Ziqi's shoulder and said, Ziqi is right. Why didn't I think of this before? I'll go and tell Uncle. After speaking, she ran towards Wang Lei's location. Look, that black bear on the left in front. Isn't that the one that chased Fatty Chu off? Sima Yue suddenly pointed to the front and said. Fatty Chu looked over, and indeed saw the bear that chased them in the middle of a group of black bears. What the F***ck, it really is it. Fatty Chu had a deep impression of this black bear. Before Sima Yue mentioned it, they didn't notice the group of black bears. Now that she mentioned it, he immediately recognized it. That black bear seemed to feel Fatty Chu and the others' gazes and looked over. It also recognized them at a glance. Roar dash, the black bear roared at them, but it didn't do anything. That black bear has a bad temper. Logically speaking, it should have attacked us after recognizing us. However, it only roared twice. Ouyang Fei said as he furrowed his eyebrows. It's already a divine beast, but it's still acting like this. That means, Fatty Chu's eyes widened, not daring to believe his own guess. Chapter 173. Sima Yue looked at the sunset of the Sophia mountain range and said faintly, only someone of a higher level can make a divine beast listen to him obediently. Furthermore, he has the absolute power to intimidate others. Many people on the wall recognized the spirit beast's strength, so they naturally thought of this too. For example, Wang Lei, whose eyebrows were furrowed, and Sun Lily, who was standing next to him with a determined look on her face. The spirit master that was found at the last minute saw the spirit beasts below, and found Wang Lei. After saying something, he quickly left the city wall and flew into the city. That direction was the location of Three Springs City's Spirit Master Guild. With the first person, there were a few more waves of spirit masters, who chose to retreat at the last moment. It wasn't that the city lord's mansion's offer wasn't attractive enough, but even if the reward was generous, one had to be alive to enjoy it. Some spirit masters couldn't help but curse when they saw those spirit masters retreating. They really wanted to help Three Springs City resist the beast tide. These spirit masters actually cowered in the face of battle. Fatty Chu looked at the spirit masters who were leaving with contempt in his eyes. If you didn't know Yun Qi, would you continue to stay here? Wei Ziqi hit the nail on the head. Fatty Chu rubbed his nose and said, there are so many spirit beasts. If it wasn't for Yun Qi helping you out, why would we stay here? We're not experts. Fatty Ziki Beigong Ouyang, if a fight really breaks out, sit on your spirit beasts and fight. Don't go down alone. If your spiritual beasts can't hold on any longer, don't engage in battle. Retreat, understand? Sima Yue instructed. We understand, Fatty Chu said. Our goal is to accompany you to save grandfather, Not to die here. Bei Gongtang and Ouyang Fei also nodded. Sima Yue looked at the Sophia mountain range again and mumbled, "Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" The spirit beasts below did not move, and the people on the city wall did not dare to act rashly. However, some of the bolder ones simply sat down and leaned against the wall to sleep. When Wang Lei heard Bai Yunqi's words, he glanced at Sima Yue and the others. Then, he sent someone out to try and communicate with the spirit beasts that were temporarily under their control. However, the mythological beast only opened its eyes to take a look before closing them again. It didn't say a single word from beginning to end. Seeing that the other party did not respond, the person who went to communicate with them did not dare to force them. He could only turn around and fly back. Looks like these spirit beasts have made up their minds. Before the spirit beast they're waiting for arrives, they won't move or speak. Bei Gongtang said when she saw that the negotiators had returned in low spirits. I don't know what exactly happened that caused such a huge commotion among the spirit beasts. Wei Ziqi said as he looked at the Sophia mountain range. No matter what it is, it's definitely not a good thing. Fatty Chu said, "Do you guys think that it's the boss of Sophia Mountain who did this? Otherwise, why would there be so many divine beasts? If that's really the case, then it's troublesome. I'm afraid that the entire Three Springs city cannot be protected." Wei Ziqi said, "No matter what it is, I'm sure that we'll know the reason soon enough." Sima Yue said as she looked at the changes in the sky. "Look everyone, it's in the sky above Sophia." Someone cried out in shock. Everyone's attention was attracted by that cry as they all looked towards the Sophia mountain range. The last rays of the setting sun disappeared into the other side of the mountain. However, what shocked everyone was not the setting sun, but the rapidly forming dark clouds in the sky above the mountain range. Why would dark clouds suddenly appear? Is it going to rain? How could it be? Something must have happened in Sophia mountain range. What could have caused such a situation to occur? Why do I have a very bad premonition when the dark clouds suddenly covered the sky? While everyone was guessing, the dark clouds became nearer and nearer, but it did not seem like it was going to rain. Sun Lili looked at the dark clouds above Sophia Mountain, and her eyes flashed with disbelief. She looked at Wang Lei and said, "Brother Lei, could this be?" Wang Lei's heart was equally shocked. He understood what Sun Lili meant and said, "I really hope that it's not what we think it is. Otherwise, sigh." This was the first time Fatty Chu had seen such a scene. He subconsciously grabbed Wei Ziqi's arm and said, "What exactly is going on? Why do I feel such a terrifying power from the dark clouds?" Sima Yue called Little Roar out. Once Little Roar saw the dark clouds, he immediately cried out, "Divine Beast Transformation!" "What is a Divine Beast Transformation?" Fatty Chu asked. Little Roar did not hover by Sima Yue's side like before. Instead, he drilled into her embrace and explained, "Once a spirit beast reaches the level of a sacred beast, it can transform into a human form. However, in order to transform into a human form, it has to go through the baptism of lightning. That means it has to be struck by lightning a few times. If it can withstand it, it can transform into a human form." "What if it can't withstand it?" Fatty Chu asked. "If it can't withstand it, it will turn into ashes." Fatty Chu was shocked by this extreme outcome. He looked at the dark clouds that were still thick and asked, "Does every sacred beast experience this?" Little Roar rolled his eyes at Fatty Chu and said, "Of course not. Only those who want to transform into a human will experience this kind of lightning tribulation. This is something that a transformed beast can choose to do. If they don't want to transform into a human, they won't. When a sacred beast transforms into a human, it will trigger the heavens and attract the lightning tribulation. Then as long as they don't want to transform into a human, they won't experience this. Then why do those sacred beasts choose this?" Wei Ziqi did not understand. Once a spirit beast transforms successfully, it will enjoy the highest glory in the spirit beast world. Furthermore, it is easier to cultivate in a human form than a spirit beast. Thus, many sacred beasts will choose to transform when the time is right. Of course, there are also those who choose not to transform. Little Roar explained. Then this sacred beast spirit is really praiseworthy. Fatty Chu sighed. Look at those dark clouds. Just looking at them makes us shiver. Let's not even talk about the lightning that will strike us when the time comes. Indeed, it is worthy of respect, Sima Yue said. However, what I am more worried about is whether that transformed beast has anything to do with the spirit beast wave this time. Yue, why do you say that? Sima Yue felt the power hidden in the dark clouds and said faintly, intuition. The dark clouds above the Sophia mountain range became denser and denser. From time to time, a few bolts of lightning would appear in the sky, but they were not big. The people on top of the city wall all stared at Sophia mountain range's movements without blinking. The spirit beasts below the city wall all turned around to look in that direction. A few of the lower-ranked spirit beasts were already so scared that they crawled on the ground, trembling nonstop. Sima Yue saw that it was rolling nonstop, and there were traces of red in the middle. She said, "It's here." Just as she finished speaking, a bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket fell from the sky. As if it had grown eyes, it directly struck towards a certain part of the mountain range. Chapter 174. Crackle. Even standing on the city wall, everyone could feel the power contained in the lightning. Just when everyone thought that the sacred beast would use something to dodge the lightning, a human figure suddenly jumped up from the mountain peak and welcomed the lightning head-on. Bang! The man's arm collided directly with the lightning, and many people closed their eyes. Fatty Chu's eyes widened as he looked at that figure. He smacked his lips and fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva, saying, "That person is the sacred beast that transformed?" "Yes, I can still feel the spirit beast chi on his body," Little Roar said. Sima Yue stretched out her hand and poked Little Roar. "Dog nose. I can smell it from so far away. My sense of smell is much more sensitive than those dogs." Little Roar complained unhappily. Sima Yue looked at the Sophia mountain range. The shock in her heart was not small. To be able to directly resist the lightning, how strong must the sacred beast be? Not long after, the second bolt of lightning struck down. The power it contained was slightly stronger than the previous one. That sacred beast once again chose to soar upwards and extended his hand to shatter the lightning. Holy sh*t, this guy is too strong. If we were to meet it, we definitely wouldn't have any chance of survival. Fatty Chu held his chest with both hands, afraid that his heart would run out of his chest. Not knowing why, Sima Yue actually thought of the humanoid beast that was with Wu Lingyu when she saw the sacred beast undergoing the heavenly tribulation. Did it experience the same lightning tribulation? She shook her head. Why did she suddenly think of that person? Not long after the second bolt of lightning struck, the third bolt of lightning struck. For the first 3 bolts of lightning, the sacred beast had to face them head-on. Although he wasn't weak, he was still badly injured. After 3 bolts of lightning, the dark clouds showed no signs of dissipating. Instead, they grew thicker and thicker in the sky. Little Roar squinted his eyes and said, "The sacred beast's bloodline that is transforming is not low." "How do you know?" Fatty Chu asked. Although every shape-shifting beast will experience the same lightning tribulation, there are still differences. The higher the bloodline, the more powerful the manifestation lightning tribulation would be. The first 3 bolts of lightning were not weak. They were comparable to the bolts of lightning from a sacred beast. However, the clouds are still thickening, which means that the lightning will be even stronger later on. Little Roar explained, "I'm really curious about the body of that transformed beast." "I'm curious too," Sima Yue said calmly. "However, I hope that it has nothing to do with this beast wave. If not, it would be dangerous," Wei Ziqi said. "There's no point in thinking about it now." Ouyang Fei hugged his sword and looked into the distance, saying, "No matter what, we're here now. There are so many spirit beasts outside. We can't escape even if we want to. Let's wait and see. If it's a blessing, it won't be a disaster. If it's a disaster, we won't be able to avoid it," Bei Gongtang said. After a long while, the tribulation cloud sent down another bolt of lightning. This time, the lightning was even thicker than before. Everyone even felt that the entire earth was trembling the moment the lightning struck. How many thunderbolts are there in total? 9. Every 3 bolts of lightning are considered a small tribulation. The difference in strength is not big, but the strength of the 3 small tribulations is multiplied. Little Roar said, "This sacred beast's strength is enough to handle the first 6 bolts of lightning. However, I don't know if he can handle the last 3. Many of them were turned into ashes by the last 3 bolts of lightning." Hearing Little Roar say this, the few people's hearts were raised. The first 3 bolts of lightning were already so powerful. Who knew what the last 3 would be like? After breaking through 5 bolts of lightning, the sacred beast chose to accept the baptism of the lightning tribulation, allowing the lightning to strike its body. This was the first time many people saw the sacred beast shapeshifting. Seeing it take the lightning head-on, they said, "Why didn't it run? This manifestation lightning tribulation cannot be run away. This tribulation cloud has already locked onto it. No matter where it goes, the lightning will strike. Even if you turn a corner at the last moment, you will realize that the lightning can turn even more than you can." Little Roar said, "This manifestation lightning tribulation was originally formed because of the sacred beast shapeshifting. What it sought was its aura. What if someone went to help it pass the tribulation? For example, if they installed a lightning rod nearby, wouldn't that lead the lightning straight to the ground?" Sima Yue said, You're so stupid. Since this is a manifestation lightning tribulation, it naturally is not an ordinary lightning. It will only strike the shapeshifting beast, not your lightning rod." Little Roar said in disdain, "If someone dares to go and help it, then the lightning tribulation's strength and quantity will double. At that time, it won't be helping, but more of a hindrance. Then in the future when you shapeshift, I can't help you?" Sima Yue asked again. Little Roar then knew that she was worried about them. His heart felt warm as he said, "If we shapeshift, you can come with us but others can't. The contract allows this kind of situation." The sacred beast should have been directly beaten down by the last 3 bolts of lightning. For a long time there was no reaction at all. Just as everyone was guessing that he had been turned into ashes by the lightning tribulation, a terrifying pressure came from the Sophia mountain range. All the spirit beasts prostrated themselves on the ground, bowing towards the Sophia mountain range. Even Little Roar came out from Sima Yue's embrace and lowered his head towards that direction. "Little Roar, why are you bowing to it?" Fatty Chu looked at Little Roar. Could it be that he was also intimidated by that pressure? Little Roar raised his head and returned to Sima Yue's embrace, saying, "This is a form of respect for a spirit beast that has successfully shapeshifted." That pressure slowly dissipated. Following that, a light that signified a promotion came from the mountain range. Damn! This guy actually got promoted after going through the manifestation lightning tribulation. Little Roar saw the promotion light and could not help but curse. When the promotion light dissipated, the long night had also passed, and the sky was already turning white. This night, everyone was too shocked. The power of nature and the sacred beast's strength still made them feel fear. It was as if the lightning was still echoing in their ears, and the sky above their heads could explode at any time. While everyone's hearts were palpitating, they were also worried. If this beast wave was related to the shapeshifted beast, then this would be a catastrophe for Three Springs City. "Brother Lei, what do we do now?" Sun Lili looked at Wang Lei worriedly. Wang Lei looked at the spirit beasts below and said, "No matter what, as the city lord of Three Springs City, I naturally have to stay with Three Springs City. As for the others, the women and children should have already evacuated. If those spirit masters want to leave, then let them leave. The final result will be left to the heavens." Hearing that they could leave, many spirit masters immediately retreated from the city walls. However, before they could fly far, they were forced to the ground by the pressure coming from behind. "It's here!" The people on the city walls saw a figure quickly approaching from the Sophia mountain range. That figure was the sacred beast. Chapter 175. The sacred beast stood in midair and looked down at the people on the city wall. His gaze paused on Sima Yue for a while before finally landing on Wang Lei. Wang Lei instantly felt an unprecedented pressure pressing down on his body. He hurriedly circulated the spiritual energy in his body to relieve this pressure, and said with difficulty, "What business does your excellency have in Three Springs City? You are the city lord of Three Springs City?" The sacred beast opened his mouth. His voice was clear and cold, with a hint of magnetism. Yes, Wang Lei admitted. Do you know what crimes you humans have committed? The sacred beast angrily rebuked. Wang Lei looked at the sacred beast, his eyes flashing with confusion. I do not know who has angered you to this extent, please enlighten me. The sacred beast looked at Wang Lei. His eyes darkened, and he increased the pressure. Although Wang Lei was struggling to hold on, it was to no avail. He knelt down with one leg. Large beads of sweat slid down his cheeks and dripped onto the limestone floor. Sun Lili saw that her husband was forced to such a state by the pressure, so she stepped forward and shouldered the pressure with him. She looked at the sacred beast and said, We really do not know how we offended you, sir. Please tell us, sir. We will immediately take care of it. The sacred beast looked at Sun Lili, extended his hand and sucked her into his hand. Lily. Wang Lei gritted his teeth and stood up when he saw Sun Lili being caught. Little ant. Bai Yunqi shouted loudly and leaped towards the sacred beast to attack. Humph. The sacred beast snorted coldly, and Bai Yunqi was shaken to the point that it lost its balance and fell towards the herd of beasts below. Ziqi. Young master. The people on the city wall were unable to move due to the pressure of the cold snort. They could only watch as Bai Yunqi fell to the ground. If he were to fall into a group of beasts, there would only be one outcome. Not even his bones would be left. Suddenly, a figure jumped down from the city wall and caught Bai Yunqi when he was only a dozen meters away from the ground. The figure grabbed his waist and brought him back to the city wall. Bai Yunqi looked at Sima Yue's perfect side profile and said, Yue, you saved me again. Sima Yue placed Bai Yunqi on the city wall and said, Being impulsive is not the way to solve problems. The sacred beast did not think that there would still be someone who could move under his pressure. He turned his gaze back to her. You can actually ignore this sovereign's pressure? The sacred beast did not get angry. He was more curious about her. Sima Yue looked at the sacred beast. There was no fear in her eyes. She smiled and said, Sovereign strength, we have all seen it with our own eyes. There is no need for you to use your pressure to control everyone. I think that in front of you, no one will dare to act rashly. You have yet to answer this sovereign's question. The sacred beast looked at Sima Yue and said, I have seen even more terrifying pressure. I should be immune to it. Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders. I don't know if this answer will work. The sacred beast stared at Sima Yue for a few seconds. He did not know why, but this little human gave him a sense of danger. However, he still retracted his pressure. After all, with him here, the spirit beasts below were also suppressed and could not breathe. Feeling the weight on their bodies disappear, everyone breathed in fresh air again. Sovereign, we really do not know what has angered you, to the extent that you have mobilized so many people. Even if you have captured Madam, we still do not know. I think that you let the spirit beasts surround Three Springs City, but did not attack. You probably do not want to kill the innocent. Why don't you release Madam, and tell us the reason why you are so angry? That way, we will know what to do. Sima Yue saw that Sun Lili's face was already pale. If he used any more strength, her little life would be gone. 10 days ago, you humans stole something very important from the Sophia mountain range. The sacred beast said. At that time, this sovereign was preparing to transform, so he did not guard against it. Hearing his words, everyone thought in their hearts, as expected. Wang Lei looked at the sacred beast and said, I wonder what it is. Is that thing still in Three Springs City? If those people have already taken it away, we have no way of tracking it down. The sacred beast was actually not a bad person. At his level, he did not want to make things difficult for humans. He threw Sun Lili back and said, That thing is still in Three Springs City. I can still smell it. Wang Lei stood up to catch Sun Lili. Hearing him say this, he felt relieved and said, Please tell me what it is. I will send people to look for it. It is a feather that this sovereign shed. The sacred beast's tone was cold, making everyone break out in cold sweat for the person who stole the feather. They actually dared to steal the sacred beast's feather. Wasn't that the same as pinching a tiger's butt? Wang Lei also understood why the sacred beast was so angry. The feather of a bird was very precious. Now that it was stolen, it was a great insult to him. I will send people to look for that person. No need, the sacred beast said. He closed his eyes and felt for a moment. Then he stretched his hand towards a certain place in the city and sucked a person from the ground. It's the domineering mercenary group. The people on the city walls recognized the person's clothes and cried out in shock. That's right. The domineering mercenary group was also carrying out a mission in the mountains. Who would have thought that they would dare to steal the sacred beast's feather? Their guts are too big. That person is in trouble now. Hee anyway, there aren't many good people in the domineering mercenary group. I'm really looking forward to that person's end. The person who was caught was already scared silly. He never thought that he would randomly pick up a few feathers from a cave and bring about a fatal disaster. Seeing the sacred beast's eyes filled with killing intent, he knew that he was doomed. Your honor, I didn't know that it was your feather. I didn't mean to offend you on purpose. Your honor, please spare my life. The sacred beast ignored him and took off his interspatial ring. With a light pinch, the interspatial ring broke into pieces. 10 over feathers emitted a weak blue light as they floated in the air. The remaining things all fell to the ground. Haha, there are actually women's undergarments. Little Roar saw the things that fell and couldn't help but laugh out loud. No matter if it was a human or a beast, they were all very quiet at this moment. Little Roar's laughter was especially prominent at this moment. However, after hearing what he said, everyone really did see a few women's undergarments. Sima Yue saw the feathers emitting a blue light and said, "Why do I feel that these feathers are a little familiar?" "I think so too," Bei Gong Tang said. "Oh no." The sacred beast found his own feather and threw that person down. The spirit beasts below would naturally take good care of him. He glanced at his own feather and suddenly became furious. The pressure he emitted caused everyone on the city walls to fall to the ground. Why is there one missing? Chapter 176. I can't breathe. Some of the weaker people were directly knocked unconscious by the sacred beast's pressure. Only the spirit king and above were left on the city wall. Why is there one missing? Not only were the people below complaining incessantly in their hearts, even the sacred beasts did not understand. He had clearly only sensed the feather in this person's spatial ring, and did not sense it anywhere else. Then where did that feather go? Seeing this, many people felt that they would not be able to escape death today. Aya, isn't this the feather I used to make fire the other day? Little Roar's words gave Sima Yue the urge to strangle him. That pressure had no effect on Little Roar at all. His body moved a little, and a burnt black stick appeared in his hand. As soon as the stick appeared, it glowed with a faint blue light. Just like the feather, the black charcoal on the stick slowly dissipated, leaving behind only the feather on the stick. Wei Ziqi and the others wanted to roll their eyes and faint. Why did they say that the sacred beast's feather was somewhat familiar? Wasn't this the feather that Little Roar had taken out to make fire 10 days ago? Little Roar took the feather and flew towards the sacred beast. Arriving in front of him, he passed the feather to him and said, "Handsome, I'll return this feather to you." Cough cough, I didn't know it was yours before, so I used it to help my Yu light the fire. Since you're so handsome, I won't care about this missing hair. When the people below heard Little Roar's words, they were all thunderstruck. That was the feather of a sacred beast, and you actually used it as a poker. What kind of thinking was that? Seeing the sacred beast's face getting darker and darker, it actually dared to tease him. It really didn't want to live anymore. Sima Yu covered her eyes with her hands. It was too embarrassing. Little Roar saw that the sacred beast did not take it, and only coldly looked at him. He extended his claws to rub the fur on his forehead and said, "I know that I'm also very good looking. You don't have to look at me like that. I'll get shy." Even though the current situation was not right, Ouyang Fei and the others could not help but laugh. This fellow previously, he had taken liberties with Thousand Resonance's wife. Now he was taking liberties with a sacred beast. He really ate both men and women. The sacred beast looked at the feathers that had changed beyond recognition, and then looked at the narcissistic Little Roar. The corners of his mouth curled up. "Using my feathers as a poker. Very good, very good." Cough cough, didn't I say this already? I didn't know that it was your feather. As the saying goes, the ignorant are not guilty. Little Roar's voice became softer and softer as he spoke. Since you burned my feathers, then I will burn you. The sacred beast's voice was very light, but it made the people below feel the cold killing intent. Seeing that he did not seem to be lying, Little Roar threw away the feather in his hand and ran towards Sima Yue. You help. Sima Yue resisted the urge to roll her eyes. The other party was a sacred beast. She couldn't even defeat one of his fingers. What was the use of shouting for help? A ball of flame appeared in the sacred beast's hand. With a light flick, the flame flew towards Little Roar. Little Roar felt the heat behind him approaching. Turning his head to look, he saw a ball of flame flying towards him. He was so scared that he hurriedly turned around, changing his original direction. He did not expect that the flame seemed to have recognized Little Roar as it turned and continued to chase after him. Mommy, this fellow knows how to turn. Little Roar was so scared that he hurriedly turned around, avoiding the flame. It was obviously a very dangerous moment, but the people below felt that it was a little dramatic, especially when Little Roar was running and crying out. Coupled with his cute body, it really made people laugh. Little Roar saw that he could not avoid the flame and cried in the air. You boss, save me. If you don't do anything, I will become barbecued meat. Sima Yue was helpless. Although this fellow always gave her trouble, he was still her spirit beast. She could bully her own people, but others could not. Seeing that Sima Yue wanted to go up, Bai Yunqi pulled her back and said, "That's a sacred beast." Sima Yue gently patted Bai Yunqi's hand away and said, "Little Roar is my family." After saying that, she stood up and flew towards Little Roar. She condensed spiritual energy in her hand and quickly hit the ball of flame. Little Roar saw Sima Yue and threw himself into her embrace, saying, You, if you don't help me, I will be burned to death. Woo woo woo. Sima Yue originally wanted Little Roar to learn a lesson and not be so reckless every time. But when she saw that the fur on his butt was burnt, she felt a little heartache. If it was not for his own weak strength, Little Roar would not have become a spirit beast that did not have any battle power. No matter what, he was still an ancient spirit beast. Dealing with a sacred beast was not a problem. Everyone was very surprised that she faced the sacred beast's flame head-on. No one thought that she would be able to disperse the flame. But the sacred beast's flame was indeed dispersed by her flame. When the sacred beast saw that Sima Yue had actually dispersed his flame, the anger in his heart grew. He quickly threw out a few more balls of flame. Pung pung pung. Sima Yue directly used the flame to cover her hand. Punch after punch, she dispersed the sacred beast's flame. Since when did Yue's flame become so terrifying? I can feel an even more terrifying temperature in her flame. She can actually disperse the sacred beast's flame. What kind of background does this guy have? Wei Ziqi and the other three looked at each other. They did not know that Sima Yue's flame was actually so terrifying. This is not the flame that she usually uses, Bei Gongtang said confidently. Usually, the flame that she used was either condensed from her own spiritual energy or Yaguang's flame. But the flame that she used today was definitely not the one that she usually used. You good job. Little Roar said excitedly from Sima Yue's shoulder. Sima Yue turned around and glared at him. He immediately kept quiet. Her eyes told him that if he did not keep quiet, she would throw him out. The sacred beast looked at Sima Yue. The flame in her hand gave him a sense of oppression. It even suppressed the flame in his body. What flame is this? Sima Yue moved her fingers. The moment she saw his flame, she knew that the flames that she used in the past were useless. So she added a bit of Crimson Flame's flame in the beginning. It was just a bit, but it was able to disperse the sacred beast's flame. This made her a little surprised. Little Roar really did not know that this was your feather. I have already apologized to you. Please be magnanimous and let it go. Let it go. Anyone who offends me must die. As its owner, you must die too. You may not be afraid of my pressure, but you can also suppress my flame. But I do not only know these. After he finished speaking, he waved his hands in the air twice. A hurricane slowly formed behind him. Chapter 177. Sima Yue saw the hurricane behind the sacred beast, and immediately threw Little Roar into the spirit pagoda. She felt that the hurricane was very dangerous. If she was swept into it, she would definitely be smashed to pieces. She might even be torn to pieces by the hurricane. Furthermore, she discovered that this sacred beast was not as bloodthirsty as other spirit beasts. Although the hurricane in the sky made it difficult for the air to move, it was only limited to the high altitude. The people and beasts on the ground were not affected. Looks like we can only run. Sima Yue glanced at Wei Ziqi and the rest, and they immediately understood what she meant. This Sophia mountain range was filled with spirit beasts, so they would definitely listen to him. Thus, she flew in the opposite direction. Trying to run? Sacred Beast did not expect that Sima Yue would actually run away like that. However, he was not worried. After giving the order to the spirit beasts below, he stood up and chased after her. Rather than killing her, he was more interested in finding out what kind of flame she had that even he was afraid of. Wei Ziqi and the other three saw them leave and chased after them. Little ant, I'll go take a look too. Bai Yunqi shouted at Sun Lili before flying off with Wei Ziqi and the others. Hey you! Before Sun Lili could finish her sentence, Bai Yunqi had already flown away from them. Thinking about how there were still so many spirit beasts under the city walls, they couldn't leave and could only watch as they disappeared. These people are really fast. Some spirit masters exclaimed when they realized that the speed at which they disappeared was much faster than normal people. Look, the spirit beasts are retreating. Following this scream, the soul masters on the city wall no longer paid attention to Sima Yue and the rest. They all turned to look at the spiritual beast. It's true. The spirit beasts at the foot of the mountain have all returned. These spirit beasts are going back just like that. After such a big commotion, it's over just like that? Many spirit masters were stunned by the scene in front of them. Everyone thought that there would be a fierce battle, but they didn't expect that it would be over without even moving a finger. It was as though someone had announced that there was going to be a show, but when they went over, all they heard was a person singing a song. Then it was over. When Sun Lili and Wang Lei saw the spirit beasts retreat, they let out a long sigh of relief in their hearts. If they really fought, Three Springs City would definitely not be able to survive this time. When the spirit beasts first arrived, it took them 1 or 2 days to arrive. Now they had all retreated in less than half a day. This speed made the people on the city wall exclaim in admiration. When Wang Lei saw that the last batch of spirit beasts had returned to the Sophia mountain range, he cupped his hands towards the spirit masters on the city wall and said, "Thank you all for coming to help this time. Although we didn't fight in the end, the promised rewards will still be honored." Hearing Wang Lei's words, everyone became happy. They originally thought that without fighting, there would be no reward. All of you guard the city gates well. Make sure that the beast horde is really over. Also, close the city gates for 3 days, and don't let anyone out for the time being. Wang Lei instructed the soldiers and then said to the spirit master, "Let's go down. City Lord, please. The beast tide has just retreated. Please stay in Three Springs City for a few more days." "No problem. Thank you, everyone." After the spirit beasts retreated, Three Springs City, which had been tense for 3 to 4 days, regained its usual calm. Other than not being able to leave the city and go to the Sophia mountain range, everything else was the same as before. As for Sima Yue, she flew out of Three Springs City and flew forward based on her intuition. The sacred beast chased after her at a leisurely pace. Behind them, Wei Ziqi and the other 4 were chasing with all their might. Yue's speed is so fast, there's no trace of her at all. Bai Yunqi sat on the back of a divine vulture and watched as the distance between Sima Yue and them increased. Not long after leaving Three Springs City, Wei Ziqi called out a divine vulture and got everyone to sit on its back to chase after Sima Yue and the others. I never thought that you, Ziqi, would actually have a divine bird like the divine vulture. Bai Yunqi sighed and went up with everyone. Seeing Sima Yue and the others disappear, Wei Ziqi and the others did not panic. Although the sacred beast's strength was about the same as a divine spirit master, with her trump card, even if she could not win, she could hide in her spirit pagoda in a secluded place. Sima Yue kept flying forward and did not know how long she had been flying. The hurricane behind her was still there, and the sacred beast sat on the hurricane, allowing it to slowly chase after her. Sometimes, slowly teasing the prey was more fun than directly killing it. Damn it, it's still chasing after us. Sima Yue turned around to look at the hurricane, and her heart sank. Seeing that there was no one around, she knew that her spirit energy would be depleted sooner or later. She stopped and turned around to look at the sacred beast slowly approaching her. Her hands quickly formed a seal, and a flame blade appeared in front of her. Damn it, I'm not running anymore. Sima Yue grabbed the flame blade and fused a strand of Qi Yan's flame into it. She then raised the blade and slashed at the sacred beast. The sacred beast naturally felt the temperature of Qi Yan's flame and moved his body upwards. The hurricane flew towards Sima Yue while he remained in his original position. Poochie! The flame blade cut the hurricane in half, but the hurricane immediately merged back together. She used the flame blade to block it, but she was sucked in along with her blade. Once she entered the hurricane, Sima Yue felt that her entire body was being torn apart, as if her 4 limbs were about to be ripped off. She could not breathe and her entire body was in pain. This was the first time she felt that death was so close to her. She wanted to enter the spirit pagoda, but she suddenly realized that there was no response from the spirit pagoda, as if the door to enter was blocked. Damn it! She cursed in her heart. She tried her best to condense her spirit energy to cover herself up, using this to resist the huge tearing force. The sacred beast did not think that Sima Yue would be able to withstand the hurricane for such a long time. The 5 fingers of his right hand squeezed together, and the hurricane slowly shrank along with his movements. Yue. When Wei Ziqi and the rest rushed over, they saw this scene. One by one, they flew up from the back of the spirit vulture and attacked the sacred beast. The sacred beast waved his hand, and a gust of wind blew the 5 of them away, landing on the ground below. I've already let you off, but you actually came to court death. Wait till I've taken care of her, then I'll take care of you. The sacred beast glanced at the few of them, and his aura caused them to be pinned to the ground, unable to move. The hurricane shrank smaller and smaller, and Sima Yue felt that her entire body was being oppressed. The difference in strength between a spirit overlord and a sacred beast was not just a little bit. Even if she was gifted, it was difficult for her to cross this huge gap. If I continue squeezing, my stomach will explode. When that happens, my intestines will flow out. Damn it! I don't want to die in such an ugly way. Just as she was howling in her heart, she suddenly felt that something had left her brain. Following that, her body became light, and the hurricane that was wrapping around her suddenly broke apart. She fell heavily onto the ground. This is... When the crowd saw Sima Yue come out from the hurricane, they heaved a sigh of relief. When they saw the faint figure in front of her, they were all shocked. Master Feng. Chapter 178. Sima Yue raised her head and saw a faint shadow standing in front of her. Master. That shadow smiled faintly at Sima Yue, then turned into specks of light and disappeared into the air. That's a soul imprint, Bei Gong Tang said blankly. What is a soul imprint? Fatty Chu asked. It's when a divine-ranked expert separates a strand of their soul and places it on another person's body. When that person's life is threatened, that soul imprint will automatically retaliate. Bei Gong Tang said that Sima Yue was able to escape from the hurricane because Master Feng's spirit imprint saved her? Wei Ziqi guessed. Sima Yue felt that the shadow of Feng Zhixing before he left had faded a lot. It was probably because she had just used up her energy. Thinking of Feng Zhixing's love and care for her, Sima Yue felt a warm current in her heart. The sacred beast looked at Sima Yue in astonishment. He did not think that there would be a spirit imprint left behind by a divine rancor in her body. He then laughed and said, even if you have a spirit imprint that saved your life, the duration of the spirit imprint cannot be too short. Let's see what other tricks you have this time. With that, he flipped his right hand. Following his movement, Sima Yue felt as if a mountain had suddenly appeared on her body, pressing down on her until her bones cracked. How does it feel to have a mountain pressing down on you? The sacred beast looked at her with satisfaction and asked with a smile. Master, let us out. Thousand Resonance said to Little Rock, and the others through the contract. The opponent is a sacred beast. You are all spirit beasts. If you come out, his pressure will make you unable to retaliate. There's no need for you to come out. As they could not communicate with the spirit pagoda, the people inside could not see Sima Yu's situation. However, they could feel that she was severely injured and her life was in danger. Woo, it's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have provoked the sacred beast, and you wouldn't have been injured. Little Roar cried loudly in the spirit pagoda. I just need to increase my strength a little more and you'll die. Sacred beast looked at Sima Yue lying on the ground. All the bones in her body were broken, and her clothes were soaked in sweat. Her face was even paler than a piece of paper, but she did not make a sound. Taking a closer look, it turned out that she had been biting her lips all this time. Her lips were already bleeding, and blood was flowing down. He did not know why, but when he saw Sima Yue being so stubborn, he suddenly felt uncomfortable. He lost the mood to play with her and said, "Let's end this." He tried to increase his weight, but realized that there was a force on Sima Yu's body that was resisting him. He increased his strength, but was rebounded, causing him to retreat dozens of meters. Bang! The formless mountain was lifted, and a pressure that was even more terrifying than a sacred beast came from Sima Yue. The sacred beast had just stabilized himself when he felt the pressure, and he lost control of his body, reverting to his original form and falling to the ground. He couldn't even maintain his human form. What kind of suppression was this? What bird is this? The sacred beast was suppressed, and the suppression he had on Wei Ziqi and the others also disappeared. The five of them regained their freedom. Bei Gongtang hurriedly got up from the ground and ran to Sima Yu's side. Seeing her sprawled on the ground, her heart ached so much that her eyes turned red. Chirp chirp dash, the sacred beast was suppressed, and he cried out to Sima Yue. He flapped his wings nonstop, wanting to fight back and stand up. What a good Chongming bird, you even dared to touch my master. A voice came from Sima Yu's body. Who are you? The sacred beast flapped his wings twice, and stared fiercely at Sima Yue. A golden light flashed, and an ugly egg came out from Sima Yu's body. It flew directly towards the sacred beast. Bang dash, the Chongming bird's huge body was sent flying by the egg. Fatty Chu and the others stared dumbfoundedly at the unforeseen event. They originally thought that the egg would break, but they never thought that it would end up like this. When the Chongming bird saw Crimson Flame's egg, it was completely stunned. Even though it was hit, its heart did not have the slightest bit of resistance. It was completely different from before. I never thought that this sacred beast's body would actually be that of a Chongming bird. No wonder he didn't kill the innocent in Three Springs City. Wei Ziqi said. According to the ancient records, the Chongming bird looked like a chicken, cried like a phoenix, and was righteous. It would help humans chase away wolves, tigers, and leopards. It was a spirit beast that was filled with righteousness. If they did not provoke it this time, and it was some other bird, Three Springs City would not have been able to escape this calamity. What is this egg? Bai Yunqi was more curious about Crimson Flame's identity, but no matter how she looked at it, it was just an ugly egg, and she could not tell its identity. Ouyang Fei looked at Wei Ziqi. He was a beast tamer master, and his knowledge of spirit beasts was broader than theirs. Wei Ziqi shook his head. He also could not tell what type of spirit beast this egg belonged to. Crimson Flame hit the Chongming bird a few more times. Every time, they could hear the sound of it being hit, but the Chongming bird did not resist at all. After hitting it enough, Crimson Flame returned to Sima Yu's side. Looking at her appearance, it seemed to be very dissatisfied. Move aside, Crimson Flame said to Bei Gongtang. Bei Gongtang did not know what Crimson Flame wanted to do, but since it was Sima Yu's spirit beast, it would definitely not harm her. Thus, she stood up and stood to the side. Crimson Flame suddenly pounced towards Sima Yue. When it collided with her, it disappeared without a trace. Following that, her body suddenly burst into flames, completely enveloping her. When the Chongming bird saw the flames, its body trembled even more violently. Bei Gongtang and the others could not stand the temperature and ran far away. Only then did they pay attention to her situation. The temperature of this flame is really high. Fatty Chu was sweating profusely from the heat and took out a handkerchief to wipe his sweat. This should be the flame that suppresses the sacred beast's flame, Ouyang Fei said. The level of this flame is definitely very high. If not, it would not be able to cause the sacred beast to be afraid. Wei Ziqi said as he looked at the Chongming bird's trembling body. I say, do you know what this is? Don't ignore my question. Bai Yunqi's previous question was not answered, so she asked again. The other four shook their heads, saying, we didn't know that Yue had a contract beast like this. This is also the first time we've seen it. Why is that flame enveloping Yue? All the bones in her body are broken. We have to treat her in time. Fatty Chu anxiously looked at the person who was enveloped in flames. I think it should be treating Yue's injuries, Bei Gongtang guessed. I think so too, Bai Yunqi said. Since we can't go near that flame now, we can only wait here. Just now, everyone was injured, so they all sat down to meditate and recover. Who would have thought that they would have to wait for 3 days? After 3 days, that flame began to slowly fade, faintly showing signs of extinguishing. Chapter 179. For 3 whole days, Sima Yue was engulfed in flames. They thought that she was unconscious, but in fact, she was awake the whole time. She could feel the flames burning every part of her bones. Last time, in the Puluo mountain range's cave, Qi Yan had used its flames to transform her meridians. This time, it was also using its flames to transform her bones. Her calcined bones were as hard as refined spiritual qi. If she were to encounter the same situation as 3 days ago, her bones would not be crushed so easily. 3 days later, Crimson Flame finished transforming her and slowly retracted his flames. Put on your clothes first, Crimson Flame said in the contract space. Sima Yue was fully recovered now. She looked at her naked body and took out a set of clothes from her space ring to wear. Previously, the flames were out of her control, so they had burned her clothes. Now they were ignoring the things in her hands. After putting on her clothes, Sima Yue extinguished all the flames on her body. Yue. When Bei Gongtang and the others saw that the flames on Sima Yue's body had disappeared, they quickly ran over. Sima Yue thought about how they were injured by the sacred beast and asked, how are you guys? We're all done. What about you? Sima Yue moved her body and smiled. Everything is fine now. Wow, Yue, what kind of flame is that? It's so magical. What kind of spirit beast is your Dan Dan? Bai Yunqi looked at Sima Yue in surprise. Sima Yue shook her head and said helplessly, I don't know what kind of spirit beast it is. It never told me. Hearing her words, everyone was speechless. He didn't even know what kind of spirit beast he had. She was probably the only one who would be like this. At this moment, Qi Yan came out of Sima Yue's body and flew to the front of the Chongming bird that was lying on the ground. Do you know your crime? Qi Yan's voice was innately dignified. I know my mistake. The Chongming bird lowered its head to the ground and said in a low voice. Little Roar offended you, so you want its life. Since you hurt my master, you can end it yourself. Crimson Flame said faintly. Wei Ziqi and the rest opened their mouths wide in shock. Was this the rhythm of killing it? The Chongming bird's eyes flashed with unwillingness, but it did not dare to disobey its master's orders. They didn't know his identity, but it did. Chirp chirp. It raised its head and screamed loudly, about to end its life. Wait a minute, Sima Yue shouted. She dashed in front of the Chongming bird and stopped it from moving. What is it? Crimson Flame asked. That, the Chongming bird isn't some ferocious beast, and it didn't kill humans. It took so much effort to become a sacred beast. It would be a pity if it died just like that. Sima Yue said. But it hurt you. Crimson Flame said angrily. If I didn't feel the danger and woke up from my deep sleep, you would have lost your life. Isn't that because Little Roar angered it? It wasn't its fault in the beginning. Sima Yue defended the Chongming bird. Then what do you plan to do? If Crimson Flame was a human, everyone would have noticed that his face was very ugly. Let it leave, Sima Yue said. It wasn't that she wanted to bite the hand that fed her. But today's matter wasn't the Chongming bird's fault. Furthermore, When she thought about how it didn't kill any innocent people in Three Springs City, she felt that this kind of spirit beast was too rare. Especially when she saw it go through the lightning tribulation that night, she still respected it. Anyone who dared to challenge the rules of the world deserved respect. The Chongming bird didn't think that Sima Yue would speak up for it. It knew that if she was willing to let it go, then its life would be saved today. Crimson Flame was silent for a while, saying, "It's not impossible to let it go. You're so weak right now, you really need someone to protect you. Chongming bird, are you willing to recognize her as your master?" "I'll let a sacred beast recognize her as its master?" The spirit beasts in the spirit pagoda were all boiling. They already had Crimson Flame above them. Now that another sacred beast came, wouldn't their position be pushed back? You, this guy wanted to kill you just now. You can't accept it." Little Roar wailed. "But if there's a sacred beast, Master's strength will increase by quite a bit." Thousand Resonance was more rational and looked at the situation more comprehensively. "Anyway, I'm the tail." Ye Guang, who had just become a sacred beast, dug on the ground, but his words were still somewhat unwilling. It could be considered to be the fastest to become a sacred beast. Borrowing Sima Yue's advancement and contracting with other sacred beasts, it quickly became a sacred beast. Sima Yue looked at the Chongming bird in silence, saying, "You don't have to follow me. My current spiritual energy is not enough to contract with other sacred beasts, and you're a sacred beast. I can't tame or contract with you." "Then let it recognize you as its master," Crimson Flame said. Sima Yue shook her head, saying, "Taking the initiative to recognize you as its master is too much of a waste. If you use my method to contract, it'll be better for both human and beast, and it'll be much easier to advance in the future." "You're really—" Crimson Flame was speechless at Sima Yue's thoughts. Sima Yue stepped forward and patted the Chongming bird's beak, taking out a bottle of pills, saying, "These are pills that I refined. Little Roar and the rest eat these when they're injured. You're a sacred beast. I don't know if it'll be effective, so you should eat a few more." After speaking, she poured out the entire bottle of pills and threw them into its mouth. The faint fragrance of the pills melted in its mouth, and the Chongming bird stared blankly at Sima Yue. Sima Yue smiled, saying, "You can go." The Chongming bird turned its gaze towards Crimson Flame. Without his permission, it did not dare to leave. Crimson Flame was silent for a while, saying, "Follow her when she's in the Yilin continent. Once she leaves this continent, if she doesn't contract you, you'll be free. If she's injured in the Yilin continent, you'll become a roasted bird." After speaking, it turned into a ray of golden light and entered between Sima Yue's eyebrows, returning to the contract space. Seeing Crimson Flame being so greedy, Sima Yue touched her nose. "If you're not willing, you don't have to care about Crimson Flame." The Chongming bird looked at Sima Yue, and after a while it said, "I'm willing to follow you temporarily." When it said that it would follow her temporarily, it did not mean that it would definitely recognize her as its master. If she did not catch its eye in the end, it would still not choose her. Without Crimson Flame's suppression, the Chongming bird turned back into its human form. All right. Just like that, Sima Yue had another sacred beast by her side. This change made the few people watching from behind envious and jealous. "All right, what's your name?" Sima Yue asked. She was used to calling the people around her name. The Chongming bird was stunned. It had been a long time since someone called it by its name. "You can just call me Chongming." Chapter 180. Seeing that Sima Yue had settled everything, Wei Ziqi and the rest walked over and said, "What do we do now?" Sima Yue looked at Bai Yunqi and said, "Should we go directly to Peace City?" "Well, because of the beast horde, you haven't gotten your identity documents yet. That's why we have to go back and get our IDs, Bai Yunqi said. Right, they had all forgotten about it. "Then let's go back to Three Springs City first and get our identification before going to Peace City," Sima Yue said. The group of people boarded the Divine Vulture and flew towards Three Springs City. Chongming also retracted his aura and sat on the Divine Vulture with them. When they returned to Sanshui City, the city gate was still closed. They were surprised to see Chongming, Bai Yunqi, and Sima Yue still alive. She didn't die. Could it be that something happened? This sacred beast is here again. Could it be another beast tide? I don't think so. Look, he's with young master and the others. I hope nothing else will happen. Because of Chongming, the divine vulture flew directly above the city lord's mansion. Wang Lei and Sun Lily had long since the arrival of important figures, so they were shocked to see them in the air. Aunt Uncle, we're back. Arriving at the airspace above the city lord's mansion, everyone flew into the air. Wei Ziqi kept the divine vulture. Seeing Sima Yue and Chongming together, Wang Lei and Sun Lili were confused, but they didn't say anything. They smiled and said, "Since you're all here, let's talk downstairs. This way, please." Chongming looked at Sima Yue. He was now her bodyguard. He had to follow her and listen to her for the next few years. Let's go. Sima Yue flew down first. Seeing this scene, Wang Lei and Sun Lili's eyes were even more shocked. Previously, the sacred beast wanted to kill her, but now, he was treating her as the master. What exactly happened in between? They looked at Bai Yunqi, and he shook his head. He had promised not to tell anyone about this. When they arrived at the mayor's mansion, Wang Lei brought Sima Yue and the rest to the living room. Because Chongming was there, Wang Lei and the rest did not dare to sit on the main seat. Sima Yue and Chongming sat at the top of the table on the left. Wang Lei and his wife could only sit opposite them. As for Wei Ziqi and the rest, they were seated at the back. "Governor, madam, we're here to ask if our identity documents are ready?" Sima Yue asked directly. "It's done." Sun Lily smiled and said, "I finished it a few days ago, but because of the beast tide, I didn't give it to you. Later, you left Three Springs City, so it's been with me all this time." As she spoke, several signs appeared in her hand. A maidservant came forward and took the tokens from her hands, distributing them to Sima Yue and the others. These tokens are made from crystals. You can see your information if you channel your spiritual energy into it. Bai Yunqi explained to everyone. Sima Yue tried to channel her spiritual energy into it, and a white light flashed. Following that, a few words appeared in the air. On it was written, "Sima Yue, born in Three Springs City, subordinate to the mayor's mansion." Wei Ziqi and the rest had the same content. When they withdrew their spiritual energy, the words disappeared. With this, they could be considered as people with status. Keeping the identity documents, Wei Ziqi cupped his hands towards Wang Lei and said, "Many thanks to the mayor and madam for doing this for us. We haven't thanked you for what you've done for Three Springs City." Sun Lily said, "Besides, you were Yin Qi's friends and saved his life. Right, what are you planning to do next?" "We'll go to Peace City first, and use the teleportation array to go to the Central Wu Kingdom." Sima Yue said, "We want to take a look at the situation there." Sun Lily nodded and said, "That's good too. We'll go and understand the situation first, in case something unexpected happens. Then when do you plan to leave?" "As soon as possible." Sima Yue said, "If possible, we plan to leave immediately." "So soon? I have something on my mind, and I want to finish it as soon as possible." Sima Yue said, "That's good too. Then we won't keep you." Sun Lily looked at Chongming and asked, "Will your honor come along?" This honor is now her bodyguard, and will follow her for the next few years. Chongming replied. Sima Yue stood up and said, "Once again, I thank the mayor and madam for helping us with our identity documents. Goodbye." "Goodbye." Wei Ziqi and the rest also stood up and said. Bai Yunqi didn't think that Sima Yue would leave so quickly. She stood up and said, "Little aunt uncle, they don't understand the situation here. I'll lead the way for them. Let's go back to Peace City together." Sun Lily glared at Bai Yunqi and said, "You rascal. Every time you come here, you don't stay for more than a few days. This time, it's only been a few days and you're leaving again. I have something to do. Next time, I'll accompany my beautiful little aunt to play for a few days. How about that?" Bai Yunqi giggled and said, "That's what you said the last time." Sun Lily stepped forward and pinched his face, saying, "You heartless person. My Three Springs City can't keep you here. If you want to go, then go. Remember, the next time you come here and go to Sophia without telling me, I'll beat your butt up. Got it?" Got it, got it. Bai Yunqi rescued his face from Sun Lily's evil clutches and left with Sima Yue and the rest. Because the Sand Gull mercenary group had already returned to Peace City to submit their mission, only the 6 of them and Chongming returned. When they arrived at the Spirit Master Guild, the other party did not ask them to pay any fees, nor did they ask for any proof of identity. They directly activated the teleportation array for them. Thinking about the relationship between Bai Yunqi and the City Lord's palace, this was not strange. Seeing the familiar light, Sima Yue sighed and said, "Let's go. We'll go to the next city." The group of people stood on it, and the light became even brighter. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the array. Seeing them leave, the people from the Spirit Master Guild heaved a sigh of relief. They actually came into close contact with the sacred beast, and the other party did not go crazy and kill them. These few short minutes would be the memories of their lives. Sun Lily and Wang Lei stood in the courtyard of the Spirit Master Guild. Seeing them leave, Sun Lily sighed and said, "I originally thought that that child would be doomed. I never thought that she would actually subdue the other party. I knew it. This child is not an ordinary person. But I'm really curious, how did she do it?" Since Yunqi did not say, then they must have asked him to keep it a secret. Even if she didn't do it herself, it must have been done by the people around her. No matter what, we can't underestimate her. Wang Lei sighed. I really hope that she can successfully save her grandfather. She will. I already thought that she would. Now that she has a sacred beast to help her, there should be no problem. Chapter 181. Peace City, West Moon Kingdom's largest city aside from the imperial capital. It was several 100,000 kilometers away from Three Springs City. Inside Peace City, there were rows upon rows of buildings and streets running from north to south. The streets were bustling with people coming and going, bustling with activity. The Cleric Guild was located on the busiest street, in the center of the city. Those who were able to have a place on this street were all the top-ranked powers in the West Moon Kingdom. Of course, there were naturally no lack of the few large unions. When Sima Yue and the rest came out of the Spirit Master Guild, it was noon. The streets were filled with people, and it was even more lively than Three Springs City. There are so many people in this city. Fatty Chu saw the crowded streets, especially the many beauties on the streets, and his saliva almost dripped down. You're already drooling. Wei Ziqi patted his head, laughing as he teased him. Fatty Chu subconsciously raised his hand to wipe his mouth, only to discover that there wasn't any saliva. Only then did he know that Wei Ziqi was laughing at him. Good, you actually dared to tease me. Fatty Chu punched Wei Ziqi's shoulder. Bai Yunqi looked at Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi chasing each other and shouted at them. You two can continue messing around. I'll bring them back first. If you can't find it, don't blame us. The two people who were chasing immediately stopped and returned to their side. Yunqi, is the Sandgull mercenary group far from here? Sima Yue asked. It's not far. It's just a few streets away. Bai Yunqi said. Other than the Spiritual Master Guild, the Mercenary Guild, the Beast Tamer Guild, the Alchemist Guild, and the Weapon Refiner Guild, the other shops on this street are all owned by various forces. They sell pills, spirit beasts, spirit weapons, and other miscellaneous items. And the houses they live in are not on this street. No wonder this street is so bustling. Fatty Chu nodded. There are tens of thousands of customers here every day. And that's just on this street, Bai Yunqi said. It's so prosperous, Sima Yue said. Because it wasn't far. They didn't take the beast carriage, but chose to walk instead. Every shop was bustling with activity, and there were many customers inside. When they passed by a house, Sima Yue was attracted by the tightly shut door. Ugly? What a weird name. Seeing that Sima Yue had stopped, the others stopped as well. Where is this place? Why are there so few people? Wei Ziqi asked. This is an auction house. It's only open in the afternoon and at night, so it's relatively quiet right now, Bai Yunqi said. Only in the afternoon and evening? This auction house is rather special. Fatty Chu said. This is the largest auction house in the Yilin continent. There are many branches in the 4 great empires. Although it only operates in the afternoon and evening, it earns more money than other places, Bai Yunqi said. So awesome. Of course, there are many things here that are not available outside. So many people will come here. Usually we do business here. Every month, we hold an auction in the first half of the month. If there's a particularly important item to be auctioned, we'll hold an additional auction. I've never participated in an auction before. When can we go and experience it? Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yue and the rest and asked. Sure, it's good to go and broaden your horizons. Wei Ziqi said. There should be an auction in the next few days. If you want to participate, you can wait a few days before leaving. Bai Yunqi calculated the time in her heart and said. Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang and realized that they were interested as well. So she said, then we'll stay here for a few days. We'll leave after the auction ends. Okay. The few of them walked for more than half an hour before they finished walking on this street. Nobody thought that this street would be so long. It was almost as long as a small city in Dongchen Kingdom. They walked to the end of the street and turned a corner. They realized that this street was much less crowded than the previous one. How do you walk? Don't you have eyes? Sima Yue and the rest had just entered this street when they heard a curse. I'm sorry. A child's voice kept apologizing. His voice was filled with fear. Pia dash. The sound of a whip hitting a body was accompanied by the sound of a child crying. Which family's child doesn't know how to walk? He actually dares to bump into me. Are you looking for death? Woo, I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Oh, you didn't do it on purpose? Do you think it's okay if you didn't do it on purpose? You've already hurt me. You have to accept the punishment. Pia dash. The sound of the whip hitting the child's body was heard. The street was filled with people, but nobody dared to step forward to stop it. This child, how did he bump into that witch? Sigh, this child is still so young. I'm afraid he's done for. Who asked him to not walk properly? Of all the people he could bump into, he just had to bump into her. Sigh, the heavens are pitiful. Sima Yue and the rest stood at the back of the crowd. When they heard the sound of the whip and crying, as well as the whispers of the crowd, they subconsciously frowned. Despicable. Bai Yunqi heard the commotion and squeezed through the crowd. Sima Yue and the rest followed in. They saw a gorgeously dressed woman in her 20s holding a whip and continuously hitting a child who was only a few years old. Stop. Bai Yunqi saw that the child was about to faint from the whip and shouted loudly. You witch, you're bullying the commoners on the streets again. How can you do this to such a young child? Qin Wan, who was happily hitting the child, heard someone shout at her. Her hand stopped moving and looked over. I was wondering who it was. It's actually you, you idiot. Qin Wan saw Bai Yunqi and said, you didn't die in Sophia Mountain Range. Why did you run back to care about me hitting people? I'm not in the mood to fight with you today. Get lost. After she finished speaking, she raised the whip again and was about to hit the child. Before Bai Yunqi could move, a figure quickly ran over from behind and grabbed Qin Wan's hand. Bei Gong Tang grabbed Qin Wan's hand tightly, preventing the whip in her hand from falling. Where did this slut come from? You actually dare to obstruct me. Qin Wan saw that her hand was grabbed by Bei Gong Tang and shouted angrily. Let this child go. Bei Gong Tang said coldly. What a joke. Do you know who I am? You actually dare to order me around? You slut who doesn't know death. Men capture her. She's so beautiful. She must be a seductive vixen. Destroy her face for me. Qin Wan saw Bei Gong Tang's appearance clearly and saw that she actually dared to obstruct her. Her heart burned with anger as she shouted. 10 people squeezed from behind the crowd and surrounded Bei Gong Tang. Which you dare? Bai Yunqi shouted. Chapter 182. Looking at their clothes, Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. Are they from the domineering mercenary group? Capture this bitch for me. Qin Wan roared. Yes, miss. The members of the domineering army replied in unison and stretched out their hands to grab Bei Gong Tang. CK your grandpa. Which, do you think I am a dead man? Bai Yunqi roared loudly and rushed towards the domineering people to beat them up. That's right. It hurts. Fatty Chu and the rest immediately started fighting, beating up the people from domineering army, until they were all lying on the ground. How dare you touch our North Palace? I don't care if you're arrogant or not. Grandpa will still beat you up. Fatty Chu roared as he fought. Sima Yue, Ouyang Fei and Wei Ziqi were much quieter, but the strength of their attacks did not decrease. Qin Wan saw that her own people had been beaten down by Sima Yue and the others in just a few moves, and scolded them for being useless. She stretched out her hand and struck towards Bei Gongtang's chest. Bei Gongtang tilted her body to the side, avoiding that slap. The fingers of her right hand pressed down on Qin Wan's wrist, causing her to let go of the whip in her hand in pain. It hurts. Qin Wan covered her hand and took 2 steps back. She saw that her wrist had turned red. Bei Gongtang gave a thought, and a flame started to burn the whip, turning it into ashes. My whip. Qin Wan never thought that Bei Gongtang's flames would actually be able to burn her whip. Her heart ached as she looked at the ashes on the ground. Bei Gongtang did not care about her screams. She came to the child's side and squatted down, picking him up. Immortal sister, are you here to save me? The child's consciousness was already a little blurry. When he saw Bei Gongtang, he smiled and asked, Don't be afraid, no one will dare to hit you. Bei Gongtang hugged the little boy and said gently, Elder sister. The child nestled in Bei Gongtang's arms and fainted in relief. Don't worry, Bei Gongtang said as she patted his back. Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu had never seen this side of Bei Gongtang before. After a long while, Qin Wan finally regained her senses from the pain of losing her spirit weapon. Ignoring the rule of not being able to use spirit energy in the downtown area, she condensed her spirit energy and attacked Bei Gongtang. Which do you dare to disregard the agreement? Bai Yinqi shouted. What unjust agreement? This slut dared to destroy my spiritual tool. I want her life. Qin Wan roared. When the surrounding people saw Qin Wan using her spiritual energy, they all hid far away. Instantly, only Sima Yue and a few others were left. When Qin Wan was condensing her spiritual energy, Sima Yue came in front of Bei Gongtang. She also condensed her spiritual energy and fought with her, scattering the opponent's spiritual energy. You are not qualified to take our Beigong's life. Sima Yue sneered. I'm not qualified? I don't know where these small fries came from. But do I still need the qualifications to kill you? As Qin Wan spoke, she once again began to condense her spiritual energy. Sima Yue was about to move when Bei Gongtang placed her hand on her shoulder. Let me handle my matters. Bei Gongtang said. You just have to help me carry this child. Sima Yue nodded and turned around to take the child. She carried him and retreated to the side. She was not worried about Bei Gongtang. That Qin Wan had not even reached the Spirit King level. Bei Gongtang could destroy her with a flick of her finger. Bei Gong, you can't kill people in Peace City. Bai Yunqi saw that she could no longer stop this fight and reminded her. Can't kill people? Bei Gongtang furrowed her brows. If she can't die, then I'll just cripple her. After she finished speaking, she quickly ran towards Qin Wan and began a one-sided beating. Prung dash, one by one. Fists landed on Qin Wan's body without mercy. The surrounding people could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. A battle between women is also so cruel. Fatty Chu's mouth twitched and his eyes narrowed. Indeed. In the future, it's best not to provoke women. Wei Ziqi said. I agree. Ouyang Fei nodded. Out of the 5 of them, the 2 ladies were the strongest in terms of battle power. This made them change their view of women as weak. Hit her well. Hit her with 2 more punches. Ayaya, help me hit her with 2 more punches. Bai Yinqi cheered from the side. She was just short of waving a flag and shouting battle cry. He and the domineering army had always disliked each other. This Qin Wan was even more important. However, men could not casually hit women. So every time he saw Qin Wan jumping around in front of him, he could not do anything. Now that Bei Gongtang had appeared, no one would say anything bad about a woman hitting another woman. Especially since Qin Wan's reputation was not good. How does it feel to be hit by someone? Bai Yunqi saw that Qin Wan was being beaten by Bei Gongtang to the point where she could not retaliate and laughed loudly. Bai Yunqi, you don't dare to fight with us, the domineering army. So you let a woman come and help you. What kind of bird are you? Qin Wan was beaten to the ground and shouted at Bai Yunqi. You still have the energy to curse. Bai Gongtang finished speaking and stepped on Qin Wan's right hand, saying, You usually use this to hit many people, right? How about I cripple it today? Slut, you dare. Qin Wan was even more furious when she heard that Bai Gongtang wanted to cripple her hand. There was even a trace of fear. Why wouldn't I dare? Bai Gongtang laughed coldly. She exerted force on her foot, and Qin Wan screamed. Ah, you actually dare to cripple my hand. Ah, you slut, I'll kill you. Ah. Bai Gongtang dug her ears, saying, What are you screaming for? I merely stepped on it and didn't cripple you. You're screaming like a pig being slaughtered. If I see you bullying the weak again, I'll really cripple you. After she finished speaking, she retracted her foot and went to Sima Yoyue's side. She took the child and said, Let's go. Okay, we don't have to care about this kind of fly. Fatty Chu said with a smile. Let's go, we're going back. Bai Yunqi said. Sima Yue glanced at Chongming, who had been watching the show from the side. The latter followed them and left. Qin Wan stood up from the ground and looked at Sima Yue's back view. She said fiercely, Slut, I'll definitely get people to kill you all. Young miss, those people's strength isn't low. The mercenary who was beaten came to her side and said, So what? I'll still make sure they don't have a good ending. Qin Wan said, Isn't third cousin coming in 2 days? I'll see where these people can run to when the time comes. Third princess wants to come to Peace City. Yes, she doted on me the most since I was young. I'll remember this matter first. When the time comes, I'll let third cousin take action. She'll definitely make them die without a burial ground. Young miss is wise. Don't flatter me anymore. Send people to keep an eye on these people. Don't let them find out. Understand? Understood. Young Mississippi, Bai Yunqi brought the few of them back to the mercenary group's headquarters. There were many mercenaries walking in and out of a European-style courtyard. He brought them directly to his own courtyard and let the injured child sleep on his bed. Sima Yue went forward to check on his injuries. Bai Gong, I see that you don't usually care about anything. Why did you save this child today? Fatty Chu asked from the side. Chapter 183. Bai Gongtang had been watching Sima Yue treat the little boy. When she heard Fatty Chu's words, she only shook her head and did not say anything. Her gaze was a little empty. Sima Yue applied some medicine on the little boy's wounds and fed him a pill. She then stood up and said, He only has some superficial wounds on his body. There are no internal injuries. After taking the pill, he would be fine in 2 days. Bai Gong, do you think of your younger brother when you see him? Bai Gongtang looked at Sima Yue in astonishment. How did she know? Sima Yue shrugged and said, I just wiped the dust off the little boy's face and saw that he looked like you, so I made a guess. Wei Ziqi and the others carefully looked at the little boy's appearance. His eyebrows were indeed similar to Bai Gongtang's. Bai Gongtang nodded, saying, That's right. Seeing him get beaten up reminded me of the time when my younger brother and I were bullied. At that time, I also thought that it would be great if someone could save us. Sima Yue patted her shoulder and said, He's lucky to have met you. Your brother will be fine. He will wait for you to go back and save him. Bai Gongtang replied faintly. At this moment, Bai Yunqi walked in from outside and said, I've already arranged a courtyard for you. It's right next to mine. Is it okay to arrange for the 5 of you to stay in one courtyard? No problem. It's good enough that you've arranged a place for us to stay. Wei Ziqi said with a smile. Then I'll take you there, Bai Yunqi said. All right. Bai Gongtang went to pick up the little boy and brought him along with Bai Yunqi to the courtyard at the side. I've already tidied up your rooms. These are the maidservants who will serve you. Bai Yunqi pointed at the maidservants waiting in the courtyard. Yunqi, we're all used to doing things ourselves. There's no need for these servant girls. Wei Ziqi said, Let them busy themselves. Are you sure? Bai Yunqi asked. Wei Ziqi nodded affirmatively. All right then. Bai Yunqi said. All of you can go back to your previous courtyards. Yes, young master. The maidservants then left the courtyard. You've just arrived. Take a rest first. I'll go talk to my father. And then I'll show you around, Bai Yunqi said. She had the demeanor of a host. All right, you can go ahead with your work. Bai Yunqi left, and the 5 of them chose their own rooms. Bai Gongtang placed the little boy in the room next to hers, and waited for him to wake up. Half a day later, the little boy slowly woke up, and saw Bai Gongtang sitting at the table reading a book. He blinked, as if he was in a dream. Sister. When Bai Gongtang heard that the little boy had woken up, she raised her head and asked, You're awake? Sister, thank you for saving me. The little boy said obediently. Bai Gongtang got up and walked over to the bedside asking, What's your name? Little Two, the little boy replied. Little Two, where's your family? Why are you outside alone? Bai Gongtang patted Little Two's head and asked. Little Two's bright eyes dimmed as he said softly, Little Two was chased out of my family. They don't want me anymore. So Little Two has no family. Chased out by your family? Bai Gongtang murmured. She didn't ask for the reason and only said faintly, You've been abandoned today, but you'll soar to the sky in the future and make them regret it. The little boy's body trembled. He had always been bullied and despised by others. Hearing these words today, his eyes couldn't help but redden. Oh, you're awake. Sima Yue walked in from outside and saw the little boy's reddened eyes. She went forward and pinched his nose, saying, A real man bleeds but not tears. I didn't. Little Two sniffled and said, Little Two, the injuries on your body were all treated by her. Bai Gongtang said, Thank you, sister. Sister, I'm Little Two. Little Two said. Sima Yue and Bai Gongtang were both shocked as they looked at Little Two in shock, saying, Little Two, why are you calling her sister? Little Two looked at Bai Gongtang strangely, saying, Sister is sister. She's just wearing men's clothes. How can you tell? Sima Yue asked. I don't know. I've been able to see things that others can't since I was young. That's why they all treat me like a monster. Little Two said sadly. Sima Yue and Bai Gongtang looked at each other and saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. Sima Yue took out a stone and asked, Little Two, can you see what's inside this stone? Jade. What about this? Iron lump. Sima Yue and the rest were not only shocked. What kind of ability did Little Two have? Little Two could feel the subtle atmosphere between Sima Yue and Bai Gongtang and cried, Sister, don't chase Little Two away. Bai Gongtang reached out and wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes, saying, We didn't say we wanted to chase you away. That's right. The little doll is crying again. Sima Yue said with a smile. You're really not chasing me away? Little Two looked at Sima Yue and Bai Gongtang. You're not lying to me? Why would I lie to you? Sima Yue laughed. There were people who were nice to me in the past. But after they found out that I was abnormal, they chased me away. Little Two said. Because I can't cultivate, they all treated me like trash. You can't cultivate? Bai Gongtang said in surprise. She grabbed Little Two's hand and checked it. Then, she looked at Sima Yue and said, His meridians are all blocked. Cultivation required the absorption of spiritual energy into the body, and then through the meridians to the dantian. If a person's meridians were blocked, they would naturally be unable to cultivate. Let me see. Bai Gongtang moved aside, and Sima Yue sat by the bed. She grabbed Little Two's hand and checked it. The results were the same as Bai Gongtang's. How is it? Bai Gongtang asked. It's the same as yours. Sima Yue said. Little Two was very calm and said, My father used to think of a way, but those doctors and spirit masters all said that my meridians were blocked by iron. There was no way at all. So my father gave up on me. After that, I was even chased out. I'm already used to it. Little Two, how old are you? Sima Yue asked. 8 years old. Little Two replied. An 8-year-old child, but they could feel the helplessness in his words. Little Two, can your family cultivate? They're all spirit masters. I'm the only one who's different. Little Two replied. Then do you want to cultivate? Little Two's eyes lit up. He grabbed Sima Yue and asked, Can I cultivate? Yue. Bai Gongtang also looked at Sima Yue. If there was a way, then Little Two could cultivate. Adding on his special ability, his life would definitely be different in the future. Chapter 184. Sima Yue nodded, then looked at Little Two and said, "Do you want to?" "I want to cultivate. I don't want to spend the rest of my life like this," Little Two said firmly. "But this method might cause you to be in so much pain that you would rather die. It might even be life-threatening. Are you willing to try it?" Sima Yue asked. "No matter what kind of pain I have to endure, I will endure it." Little Two looked at Sima Yue. He crawled up and knelt down in front of her. "Sister, please help me." Sima Yue looked at Little Two's eyes and knew that he must have experienced many things in the past to have such a temperament at such a young age. She picked him up and said, "Your knee is still injured. Don't kneel." "Sister, you agree?" Little Two looked at Sima Yue. "My method is unconventional. As long as you can withstand the pain, it will work. I can do it. No matter what kind of pain it is, I will endure it." Little Two said. "Yue, do you have any ideas?" Bei Gong Tang asked. "Crimson flames can burn everything. Even if the impurities in his meridians are as hard as iron, it will still burn." Sima Yue said. "Burn away all the impurities with fire?" Bei Gong Tang was shocked by this method and said, "Even Chongming can't resist that flame of yours. Will it hurt Little Two?" "He won't be hurt, but the process will be very painful," Sima Yue said. "If his will is strong enough and he can persevere, there won't be a problem." "Sister, if pain can change my fate, I'm willing to give it a try. Even if you lose your life because of this, it's better than muddling along for the rest of your life," Little Two said as he looked at Bei Gong Tang. Bei Gong Tang looked at Little Two and nodded, saying, "All right then. When will you get it for him?" "There's no rush," Sima Yue said. "His injuries have not healed yet. It will take him 1 or 2 days to fully recover. Moreover, I still have to refine an essential pill for him." "Sister, you're also an alchemist?" Little Two asked curiously when he heard that Sima Yue wanted to refine pills. "Yeah." Sima Yue pinched Little Two's nose and said, "Little Two, you can't call me sister outside. You have to call me brother. Do you understand?" Little Two nodded and said, "I understand. Sis brother, you're different from others." "What's the difference?" "Our family used to have an alchemist, but he was very arrogant. Other than the patriarch, he didn't put anyone in his eyes. His nostrils were raised to the sky. Big sister is not arrogant at all. Little Two likes it very much." Little Two replied. "Haha, I didn't expect Little Two to have such a sweet mouth." Sima Yue laughed. "I'm telling the truth," Little Two said seriously. "Yes, I believe you." Sima Yue rubbed Little Two's head and smiled. The feeling Little Two gave her was very pure. Although he had experienced many bad things, his soul was very clean, making people want to cherish him. "Bei Gong, I'll go and prepare. After that, I'll refine pills for him. Help him apply this ointment again. Also, let him eat one of the pills I gave him in the afternoon." Sima Yue stood up and said, "Okay." Bei Gong Tang nodded. "Your big sister Bei Gong is also an alchemist." Thinking of Little Two's shocked expression when he found out that she was an alchemist, Sima Yue could not help but tease him a little before leaving. As she thought, Little Two was extremely shocked when he found out that Bei Gong Tang was also an alchemist. He was also puzzled. Why were these two alchemists different from the ones he had met before? When Sima Yue returned, Chongming was leaning against the pillar in front of her door. "What's wrong?" Sima Yue asked. "That child has the blood of a spirit beast," Chongming said directly. "Blood of a spirit beast?" Sima Yue looked at her surroundings and said, "Let's go in and talk." Pushing open the door, the two of them went in. Sima Yue closed the door and said, "How do you know that Little Two has the blood of a spirit beast?" "Smell," Chongming said. "Strong spirit beasts are more sensitive to the smell of other spirit beasts." "Then do you know what spirit beast's blood is in his body?" Sima Yue asked. Chongming shook his head and said, "His blood hasn't awakened yet. However, his physique prevents him from cultivating, so his blood won't be awakened. Who knows, maybe his special ability is the effect of his blood," Sima Yue said. "It's his fortune to have met you guys," Chongming said. "I've felt his body before. The impurities in his meridians can't be burned away even if I use my flame. However, if it's that person's flame, it shouldn't be a problem. Speaking of crimson flame, Sima Yue recalled her doubts and asked, Chongming, other than fire, you also have wind, right? Chongming didn't know why she asked him this, but he still nodded. You can also control space, Sima Yue said. Yes, Chongming replied. When you were chasing me, although it seemed like I was running forward, you had already locked me in a space, right? Sima Yue asked. Chongming raised his eyebrows. How do you know? Sima Yue saw that he didn't deny it, and thought that it was true. When she lost contact with the spirit pagoda, it was because he locked her in another space. I guessed, Sima Yue said. She didn't say that it was because she lost contact with the spirit pagoda. Oh right, can spirit beasts become array masters? No, Chongming replied. Spirit beasts are limited. They can't become alchemists, refiners, or array masters. Then why can you control space? Because of my eyes. Your eyes. Sima Yue didn't understand. What did this have to do with his eyes? Chongming closed his eyes. When he opened them again, both of his eyes had 2 eyeballs. Chongming birds got their name because they had 2 eyeballs. Chongming closed his eyes again. When he opened them again, they returned to normal. Because of your eyes, you can use the power of space? Sima Yue asked. You can say that. Chongming said. Different spirit beasts have special abilities with different attributes. For example, I can sense space. Yours has the sovereign flame. I see, Sima Yue said. Then other spirit beasts can't sense space. Not necessarily, Chongming said. Currently, I only know that our Chongming birds can. However, the world is so big. Maybe other spirit beasts have the same attributes. If only I had your talent with space, Sima Yue said enviously. Chongming glanced at her and said, This is innate. You can't be envious. After speaking, he stood up and left, leaving Sima Yue staring at his back. Sighing, she stood up and locked the door. Then, she flashed into the spirit pagoda and appeared in the pill refining room. Master, what kind of pill are you refining this time? Little Spirit appeared and asked eagerly. Ever since Sima Yue could refine pills, he had candy to eat. Now that she appeared in the pill refining room, he was very happy. Chapter 185. Frost Pill. Sima Yue said. Okay. Little Spirit disappeared after he finished speaking. Sima Yue took out the pill formula for the frost cold pill and studied it carefully. After a while, Little Spirit appeared with a lot of medicinal herbs in his hands. Master, this pill isn't easy to refine. I've prepared 2 more sets of ingredients for you. Little Spirit said as he placed the ingredients on the table. Thank you, Little Spirit. Sima Yue nodded at him and began to concentrate on refining pills. The refinement was done in one step, but some mistakes occurred during the fusion process, resulting in the loss of a set of medicinal herbs. This frost pill is indeed difficult to concoct. Sima Yue muttered as she cleaned up the discarded herbs. That's of course. Otherwise, it wouldn't be at the 4th grade, but have the same value as the 5th grade. Little Spirit said. But you, this is your first time refining, so it's normal for you to fail. Yes. Sima Yue meditated for a while and began the second refinement. After failing twice, she succeeded in refining a batch of 4 pills. Seeing that there were still 2 sets of medicinal ingredients left, she simply used them all to refine, and both were successful. 12 pills, not bad. Sima Yue took out half of the pills and gave the other half to Little Spirit. Little Spirit hugged the pill bottle and smiled happily. Less than a day had passed since he left the Spirit Pagoda. It wasn't even noon yet. She went out and saw Wei Ziqi and the others. She greeted them and went to Little Tu's room. Bei Gong Tang was currently talking to Little Tuesday. Seeing Sima Yue enter, she asked, Done? Sima Yue nodded and walked over. How's Little Tu's recovery? It's faster than I expected. Although Bei Gong Tang was not a doctor, she was an alchemist and was proficient in medicine. Seeing Little Tu's recovery speed, he was very surprised. Sima Yue checked on Little Tu and said, It's all healed. I'll find some time to open my meridians. Really? Little two looked at Sima Yue in disbelief. Then let's do it now. Sima Yue patted his head and said, not now. Why? Little two and Bei Gong Tang asked in unison. It's our first time here, so we have to pay a visit to Yun Qi's parents. Sima Yue said, previously, I was in seclusion, so Ziqi and the rest did not call for us. I just saw them, and they said that we should go and meet them now. That's true, Bei Gong Tang said. Older sister, you won't leave me here, right? Little two heard that the two of them were leaving and immediately grabbed onto Bei Gong Tang's clothes. No, you're a guest too. You have to come with us. Sima Yue said. I'm going to. Little two was a little afraid of seeing strangers, and there was fear in his eyes. That's right. You've stayed in their house for 2 days. You should thank the owner of the house. Sima Yue said. All right, Little two said in a low voice. Wei Ziqi and the rest were waiting in the courtyard. When they saw Sima Yue and the rest come out, they said, let's go. After leaving the courtyard, they first went to the courtyard next door to look for Bai Yunqi. The servant said that Bai Yunqi had gone to look for her father. He even said that if they were done with their seclusion, they could let the servant bring them over. When they came to the front hall, they found Bai Yunqi. Bai Yunqi brought them to the living room and sent someone to look for her father, Bai Yuan Chun. My father just happened to be at home today, but he was just called over by my mother. You guys take a seat first, they'll be here in a while. Bai Yunqi said politely. Okay. Oh right, I've already asked about the auction. It was originally set to be held 5 days later, but it was said that 2 treasures suddenly appeared, so the date was pushed back by 5 days. Pushed back? Yeah, it should be to give these interested people time to gather funds. After all, these 2 items are not ordinary items. The price will definitely not be cheap. Bai Yunqi said. What are they? Fatty Chu asked. One is a black-grade high-level spirit skill, and the other is a 6th-tier pill. Bai Yunqi said. SS-. Everyone sucked in a breath. If these 2 items were placed in the Yilin continent, it would definitely be enough to make people go crazy. Ugly Person has already released the news. I'm sure that there will be a competition when the time comes. Bai Yunqi said. Then who will be able to participate? Wei Ziqi asked. It shouldn't be something that just anyone can go. Yeah. Only third-rate powers and above can go. Bai Yunqi said. Ugly Person has already sent out the invitations. Only those who have received the invitations can participate. Or those who have items to auction, or some special people. Who are those special people? Those who have Ugly Person's blue card. However, it's said that this kind of blue card is very rare. As for who has it, I don't know. Bai Yunqi said. I think that those who have the blue card should be Ugly Person's distinguished guests. People who want to get closer to her. Will we be able to go when the time comes? Fatty Chu asked. When the time comes, you just have to follow us. We have already received the invitations. Bai Yunqi said. Do you guys think that we should also go and auction some things to exchange for some money? Fatty Chu looked at everyone and asked. If you want to play around, that's fine too. Ouyang Fei said. When the time comes, if you see something that you want, you can also bid for it. If you want to auction something, you have to go to the auction house to appraise it. But I haven't had the time to go out these few days, Bai Yunqi said with some difficulty. No problem. We can find our own way. We can just go by ourselves. Fatty Chu said. Yeah, I'll get someone to prepare a beast carriage for you. No need to trouble yourself. We can walk there and take a good look around Peace City. That's fine too. If you need anything, just let me know. I'm really sorry. I originally wanted to bring you around, but in the end, I was entangled with something and couldn't leave. Bai Yunqi said apologetically. At this time, Bai Yin Chun and a woman walked in. Sima Yu and the others all stood up. Haha, are you all Yunqi's friends? Welcome, welcome, Bai Yin Chun said with a smile. Father, mother. Bai Yunqi also stood up and shouted. Wei Ziqi and the others cupped their hands and bowed. Greetings to uncle and aunt. Originally, we should have come to pay our respects to you yesterday, but because Yu was in closed-door cultivation, it was delayed until today. We were lacking in etiquette, and hope that uncle and aunt will forgive us. What are you talking about forgiving us? We all heard from Li Kuei that you guys saved Ziqi's life. You guys are the benefactors of our mercenary group. Bai Yunqi's mother, Sun Ran, said with a smile. She looked very similar to Sun Li, but their personalities were very different. She was different from Sun Li's big child. She looked candid and steady. Take a seat. Bai Yin Chun waved his hands at everyone. Seeing the little boy standing beside Bei Gongtang, he said, "Is this the little boy that you saved yesterday?" Little Two greets uncle and aunt. Little Two said obediently. Sun Ran looked at Little Two and said, "What a cute and sensible child. Father, mother, Fatty Chu and the others want to go to Ugly Person to auction something. Do you know what the requirements are?" Chapter 186. By the time Sima Yue and the rest came out of the living room, half an hour had already passed. Bai Yuan Chun's personality was very straightforward. Whatever he had to say, he would tell Sima Yue and the others. If it wasn't for the fact that he had something to say, he would probably say a lot of things to them. After returning, Sima Yue prepared to unblock Little Two's meridians. Wei Ziqi and the others called her and Bei Gongtang over to ask about the situation. Sima Yue told everyone what Chongming had said, and they were all shocked. Little Two actually has the blood of a spirit beast. Fatty Chu smacked his lips, indicating that this matter had greatly stimulated him. No wonder his injuries recover faster than the average person. Bei Gongtang thought of his recovery speed. She had some suspicions before, but now she knew the reason. After all, the medicine they gave him wasn't the best. It would take some time for him to recover. Yue, how long do you need to completely open up his meridians? Ouying Fei asked. That depends on the situation, Sima Yue said. Anyway, there's still some time before the auction. I'll see how much he can take. If you have nothing to do, you can go out for a walk. You don't have to wait for us. All right. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang came to the room. Little Two was sitting on a stool waiting for them. Little Two, I'll ask you one last time. Are you really willing to endure the bone-eroding pain? Little Two nodded and said, Brother, don't worry. I'll endure it. All right then. Sima Yue took out a jade bottle and said, Take this pill before you start. It will protect your internal organs to a certain extent. Little Two took one, and felt as if his hand was about to be frozen into ice. She wondered if the medicine would turn him into an ice statue. However, he still swallowed the pill without hesitation. Sima Yue held Little Two's hand and injected a bit of spiritual energy into his body, catalyzing the effect of the pill. Not long after, Little Two was shivering from the cold. Sima Yue saw that it was about time and said to Bei Gongtang, Bei Gong, guard the door. During this period of time, do not let anyone disturb us. Otherwise, Little Two's life will be in danger. Bei Gongtang nodded and stood guard outside the door. Sima Yue took a deep breath and carried the almost frozen Little Two to the bed. Then, she wrapped a tiny wisp of flame with her spiritual energy and slowly injected it into Little Two's body. In an instant, Little Two felt a blazing heat that quickly drove away the chill in his body. After a while, he felt as if his body was on fire. Sima Yue did not have the time to comfort Little Two, because she had to pour all her energy into that small flame. She had to wrap it around and burn all the impurities in his meridians. If there was a slight mistake, Little Two would be burned to ashes. That wisp of flame was thinner than a strand of hair. It swam through Little Two's meridians, and after only 3 meridians, it exhausted her. She had no choice but to retract her flames. Little Two did not make a sound. When Sima Yue retracted her flames, he immediately fainted. Hearing the commotion inside, Bei Gongtang pushed the door open and entered. Seeing the unconscious Little Two and the pale and sweaty Sima Yue, she asked, How is it? I'm only a quarter done. Sima Yue stood up and felt a little dizzy. This time, she had used up a lot of her spiritual energy. It was as if she had used up all her spiritual energy. You don't look well. Go and rest first. I'll take care of Little Two here, Bei Gongtang said. Okay. Sima Yue took out a pill and ate it, preparing to go back and rest. Yue, Bei Gongtang called out to her. What's wrong? Thank you. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yue gratefully. What are you thanking me for? I only wanted to help him, because he was so obedient and pitiful. Sima Yue said. After speaking, she opened the door and left. Although she said that, Bei Gongtang still understood that with her personality, she would not do so much for a stranger. She was willing to do this, because she had special feelings for this boy. Sima Yue returned to her own house. Her spiritual energy had been drained too much. The pill that she had just eaten was not enough. Hence, she took out the soul fluid and dripped a drop into her mouth. After that, she closed her eyes and began to cultivate. Once the soul fluid entered her mouth, she felt her fatigue disappear by half. It was only until the next day that she opened her eyes. The fatigue in her eyes no longer existed. She went to Little Two's house and saw that he had already woken up. However, his body was still rather tired and could only lie on the bed. You're better? Bei Gongtang asked. Sima Yue looked at Little Two's pale face and frowned, saying Little Two's condition is not very good. Do you think that everyone has your abnormal spiritual energy? Bei Gongtang glared at her, saying, it's already not bad that he can endure it. Sima Yue also understood. After thinking about it, she took out the soul fluid and let him open his mouth. She gently poured a small drop into his mouth. Little Two only felt that the fluid made his body feel much better. He asked, brother, what is this? Something useful to you. Sima Yue said. Right now, 3 of your meridians have been opened. There are 9 more. According to our tolerance, we still need 3 more times to completely open them. This is only the 12 meridians. If you want to open the other 8 meridians, I'm afraid that it will take even longer. Thank you, brother. Little Two did not know what else to say other than thank you. You're really considered lucky. Those meridians of yours were almost completely blocked. Furthermore, every single one of them had a lot of impurities. If not for the fact that you met my flame just now, you would not be able to cultivate in this lifetime. However, if not for Bei Gongtang saving you, this would not have happened. Sima Yue said. Thank you, sister and brother. I will not forget your kindness. Little Two said. That's right. Look, your sister Bei Gong is not much older than you. Since you want to thank her, why don't you repay her with your body? Sima Yue teased. Sima Yue hit her and said angrily, you're talking nonsense again. Haha, I'm just kidding. Sima Yue said. I plan to go take a look at ugly person later. Do you guys want to come along? Bei Gongtang looked at Little Two and said, you guys go ahead. I'll stay here and take care of him. He will definitely be alive and kicking in the afternoon. Bring him along. Sima Yue said. All right. We'll call you guys when the time comes. Sima Yue said as she walked out. Ugly person. This name is really weird. Who knows, maybe the boss is an ugly person. That's why he gave him such a name. Just as Sima Yue said, Little Two was indeed much better in the afternoon. He could get out of bed and walk. Fatty Chu and the others would occasionally visit Little Two when he was recuperating. Hence, Little Two was not shy when he saw them. Knowing that they were going to ugly person, Sun Ran sent people to prepare a beast carriage for them. The few of them did not want to reject her good intentions, so they sat on the beast carriage and went to the busiest street in Peace City. Chapter 187. Ugly person opened for business in the afternoon. This time, Sima Yue and the rest saw a different scene compared to the last time they were here. There were so many people coming in and out of the loft that the doorsill was almost broken. When Sima Yue saw the words ugly person on the door, she felt like she was blind. This was probably the only place on this street that looked like this. When a shop assistant saw Sima Yue and the rest walking in, she smiled and said, is this your first time here at Ugly Person? Is there anything you want to buy? How did you know that this is our first time here? Fatty Chu looked at the shop assistant and asked. Hehe, as shop assistants, we don't have any other skills, but we must have a good memory. We remember everyone who has come to our shop. The shop assistant said with a smile. When I saw that you all looked unfamiliar, I guessed that this was your first time here. Do all your employees have such a good memory like you? Sima Yue and the rest stepped through the door and saw many employees serving customers. We all rely on this little skill to make a living. The shop assistant answered from the side. Since it's your first time here, why don't I give you a tour of our shop? Alright. Then let's start with our medicinal pills area. This way please. The shop assistant brought them around the first and second floors. Sima Yue realized that this place was similar to Dongcheng Kingdom's Xian Yuan Pavilion. It was all-inclusive, and had everything they needed. It was just that their levels were much higher. Little Tu held Bei Gongtang's hand. His large eyes were overwhelmed by all these things, and he didn't even blink. Sister, there are so many things here. You'll see even more things in the future, Bei Gongtang said with a smile. Yes, from the elixir area to the spiritual artifact area, then to the spirit beast area, and then to the general merchandise area. It took them more than an hour to finish looking. Moreover, it was under the condition of quickly browsing. The quality of this shop assistant was really not ordinary. She took them around once, and if there were any questions, she would constantly explain to them. She was not impatient at all. Ladies and gentlemen, we've finished touring the first and second floors. Is there anything you'd like to buy? The shop assistant asked with a smile. They didn't lack medicinal pills or herbs, and there were a lot of spirit artifacts in the spirit pagoda that they could use at the moment. Therefore, they didn't choose any of these items. In the end, they symbolically chose some small things that were more fun. The shop assistant didn't say anything and didn't discriminate against them. Instead, he asked politely, "Is there anything else you need?" Sima Yue had already taken a close look at the prices of the pills, herbs, and spirit beasts. She had a rough idea of the market. She turned around and asked, "I heard that you also have auctions here?" The clerk immediately understood what she meant and asked, "Do you have something you want to auction?" Sima Yue nodded. "Then do you know the rules of our ugly person?" "I have a rough understanding," Wei Ziqi replied. "Since you've all understood it, I won't repeat it. If they wanted to auction something, they would have to go to the third floor. Everyone, please follow me." The shop assistant led them to the third floor. There were many rooms on the third floor. Only 2 of the rooms were occupied. The rest were empty. They came to a room, and the clerk asked, "What kind of things would you like to auction? I can invite our appraiser to appraise it for you." "Pills, magic cores, herbs." The clerk waited for them to finish before smiling. "Can you let me take a look at your things?" Sima Yue and the rest knew that this was the rule, so they immediately took out their boxes. The clerk took a quick look and confirmed that their ranks weren't low. He said, "Everyone, please wait a moment. I will invite our appraiser to appraise your things." After he finished speaking, he turned around and left the room. Not long after, he brought a middle-aged man over. "Everyone, this is our auction house's Master Li. He is a 5th-ranked alchemist." The clerk introduced. Sima Yue and the rest stood up and said, "Greetings, Master Li. I heard that you have pills and herbs to auction?" Master Li wasn't as arrogant as the other alchemists. Maybe it was because he was under the control of the higher-ups. "Yes," Wei Ziqi said, "we have herbs, magic cores, and pills." "Then let's do it one by one." Master Li looked at the boxes on the table and sat down. He took out a pair of gloves and opened one of the boxes. Inside was a 1,000-year-old snow orchid grass. Master Li took the snow orchid grass and looked at it. He then placed it under his nose and sniffed it. Following that, he plucked a few leaves and placed them in his mouth. He said, "1,000-year-old snow orchid grass. It's a 4th-ranked herb, passes and can be auctioned. The starting price is 500 gold coins." This was just a random herb that Fatty Chu had taken from the Spirit Pagoda. He didn't think that it would be that good. He was just here to join in the fun. He could still accept this price. Since there are no objections, this is your corresponding number. You can use this to participate in the auction. A servant girl who had followed Master Li took down half of a token and handed it to Fatty Chu. The second item was also a herb. After Master Li appraised it, he gave Wei Ziqi a token. Ouyang Fei's item was a magic core. Master Li showed a trace of interest for the first time after appraising the 2 herbs. There were too many herbs. The 2 herbs just now weren't particularly precious. If it wasn't for the fact that they were much older than normal, they might not have met the requirements. However, Ouyang Fei's item was different. When Master Li opened it, he realized that it was a divine beast's magic core. What kind of concept was a divine beast's magic core? It was equivalent to killing a spirit saint expert and taking their heart. Furthermore, magic cores were not something that all spirit beasts had. Currently, the market was filled with saint beasts' magic cores. Divine beasts' magic cores were still in the market. This is a level 1 divine beast's magic core. Masterly was indeed experienced and knowledgeable. He quickly recognized the origin of the magic core. That's right. Ouyang Fei understood ugly person quite well. He never doubted their power. Good. Good. Level 1 divine beast's magic core. It's a level 2 magic core. Passes. The starting price is 2,000 gold coins. This is your number token. Ouyang Fei took the token and kept it. There were 2 boxes on the table. One was Bei Gong Tang's, and the other was Sima Yoyue's. Masterly casually took Sima Yoyue's and opened it. There was a jade bottle lying inside. He picked up the jade bottle and felt a bone-piercing cold. His heart jumped, and he hurriedly opened it to take a look. Cold ice pill. Masterly cried out in shock. This pill was the cold ice pill that Sima Yue had just refined. Because there were many of them, she took out 2 of them. That's right. I wonder if this passes? Sima Yue asked. Of course it passes, Masterly said excitedly. This cold ice pill has a special effect, and is very complicated to refine. There are 2 herbs that are extremely special and not easy to obtain. Thus there aren't many of them. It's a level 2 pill. The starting price is 5,000 gold coins. Chapter 188. Hearing 5,000 gold coins, Sima Yue didn't think it was a high price. This was only the price of a rare grade 5 pill. However, since this was an auction, there would naturally be competition. No one could say for sure what the final outcome would be. Therefore, she had no interest in the price. This is your number tag. Masterly passed the card to Sima Yue and was about to say, Are you guys coming together? Yes. What's wrong? Because 2 of you are auctioning items of the 2nd rank and above. So if you want to participate together, we can prepare a private room for you. Masterly said. If that's the case, many thanks. Wei Ziqi and the rest did not decline. Having their own rooms was not bad. Masterly glanced at the maidservant, who immediately took out a card and handed it to Ouyang Fei. With this card, you can go to the private room with the same number. Masterly said. We will come on time, Ouyang Fei said as he put away the card. With the matter settled, the items were handed over to the auction house for safekeeping. Everyone stood up and prepared to leave. Mister, please wait. Masterly called out to Sima Yue. What's the matter, Masterly? Excuse me, did you refine this frost ice pill? Sima Yue smiled and shook her head, saying, No, my master made it. May I ask who your master is? Master is a low-key person. She doesn't like us using her name to travel outside. If that's the case, I'm sorry for being presumptuous. Masterly smiled apologetically. After Sima Yue and her group left, Masterly instructed the servant girl. Spread the news about the frost pill and the divine beast's magic core. Yes, stewardly. The maidservant bowed and retreated. It turned out that Masterly was not only an appraiser of the ugly person auction house, but he was also a manager here. With the exception of ugly person, Fatty Chu lamented the difference. The ingredients that he had taken out were only 500 gold coins, while Sima Yoyue's cold ice pill was 5,000 gold coins, which was 10 times more than his. You should be content with what you have. What you have is only a medicinal ingredient. The medicinal ingredients needed for the cold ice pill are much more precious than what you have. If it wasn't for the fact that you took out a 1,000-year-old medicinal ingredient, not to mention 500, it would already be pretty good to give you 50. Wei Ziqi said with a smile. No matter what, it should be 100. How could it be 50? Fatty Chu said with a smile. Please wait a moment, dear guests. The shop assistant who had greeted them earlier chased after them and called out to them. What happened? Wei Ziqi asked. This is what Masterly asked me to give you. It's an item for this auction. If there's anything you want, you can also prepare in advance. The shop assistant said with a smile. Sima Yue took the list and said, Thank you. You're welcome. If there's no problem, I'll head back first. The shop assistant nodded at them and turned back to ugly person. This ugly person's service is really not bad. Fatty Chu said. Let's go back and see if there's anything good. Sima Yue kept the auction list and got into the beast carriage that was waiting outside. The beast carriage slowly left ugly person, and Fatty Chu pulled open the curtains to take a look outside. He did not expect to see Qin Wan. Is that Qin Wan's entourage always so big every time she goes out? Sima Yu and the others looked out the window as well. They just happened to see a few beast carriages crowding around a luxurious beast carriage. Qin Wan came down from the beast carriage. After that, she turned around and said something. After that, a lady dressed luxuriously came down from the carriage. As if she felt that someone was looking at them, the lady looked over. Her gaze was sharp and carried a sense of arrogance. Who is that lady? What a strong aura. Fatty Chu felt a chill run down his spine after being glared at. Her strength is also very strong, Wei Ziqi said. Being together with Qin Wan, she's definitely not a good person. Sima Yue said. She's obviously a lady, but her gaze is so fierce. She's definitely not someone easy to deal with. Furthermore, looking at the entourage, it should be for her. Her status is definitely not low. She's not an easy bone to chew. Ouyang Fei frowned and said. Previously, Yun Qi said that this Qin Wan is someone who will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. She has a cousin, who is a princess of the West Moon Kingdom. Although her mother is only an imperial concubine, that princess's talent is extremely high, and her position in the royal family is extraordinary. Even her mother's position has risen as a result. Then this person is most likely that princess. What's her name? Shi Yushi. Her talent is good, her strength is strong, and she even has a strong background. How is it are you envious? Sima Yue pulled down the curtains and asked with a smile. What's there to be envious about? Fatty Chu said. We're not bad either. So narcissistic. Sima Yue patted his head. Yue, let's take a look at the auction list. Wei Ziqi said as he was more interested in the auction. Okay. Sima Yue took out the auction list and saw a long list of names and said, this auction is very big. There are actually so many things. TSK, there are tens of things right. Look, the low-ranked ones are at the front, and the high-ranked ones are at the back. There are even spirit beast eggs. Speaking of spirit beast eggs, Sima Yue thought of the time when everyone was choosing spirit beast eggs in the academy. After that, she did not hear anything about it, and did not know what kind of spirit beast they chose. Where are the spirit beast eggs that you chose in the academy? Why haven't I seen your spirit beast? We don't even know what kind of spirit beast eggs we chose. We've never seen them before. Mine is still an egg. Wei Ziqi said. Ours too. They haven't even hatched yet. However, at least ours are alive. Bei Gongtang said with a smile. Could it be that someone else's is dead? Sima Yue asked. That's right. You asked Fatty Chu where his spirit beast egg is? Ouyang Fei thought of that and also smiled. Fatty Chu, where are your eggs? I ate them. Fatty Chu said. Speaking of this, he was depressed. Everyone else's eggs were alive, but his was a dead egg. He really did not know what kind of luck he had. You ate them? Sima Yue looked at Fatty Chu in astonishment. That's right. It was a dead egg when it came out. After that, I used the things you left in the kitchen to make a fried egg and ate it. Fatty Chu said gloomily. Yeah, we also ate a bit. Although our skills were not good, the taste of the egg was still good. Ouyang Fei said. Sima Yue burst out laughing. Seeing Fatty Chu's gloomy face, she said. It's all right. Isn't it just a spirit beast egg? It's fine if you ate it. In any case, the spirit beast that I got for you is much stronger than that egg of yours. In the Sophia mountain range, the 5 of them had worked together to capture a few spirit beasts. Sima Yue had tamed them and made them contract with them. Now this group of people had at least 1 spirit beast contract each. There are still unknown items on this list. Wei Ziqi kept looking at the list and saw that there were some items that even the auction house did not know about. Chapter 189. Sima Yue and the others all went over. Even little Tu's little head came over. These are all things that we don't know about. Wei Ziqi pointed to the items at the bottom and said, "It doesn't even have a name, just a drawing." Fatty Chu said, "This kind of thing could be a treasure. Or it could also be a piece of trash. Is there anything you'd like to buy after looking at these?" Wei Ziqi and the rest shook their heads. They really did not lack anything now, and these things were not attractive to them. That mystic class high-tier cultivation method was not bad. But if he were to compete with the other large clans, he would definitely not be able to compete. So it was wise to forget about it. Sima Yue saw that no one had any thoughts. Although there were many treasures on the list, they were not attractive to them. After all, they were not greedy people. Since you don't have any, let's see if there's anything you want. Let's go back and wait for the auction. When they returned to the Sangul mercenary group, Sima Yue and the others went to find Bai Yunqi and told him that they wanted to go to the auction by themselves, and that they didn't need to go with the mercenary group. Bai Yunqi was surprised that they wanted her to go alone, but she immediately expressed her understanding. They must have their own ideas, so she didn't say anything. After returning to her room, Sima Yue casually placed the list on the table, took off her shoes and lay on the bed. Mo Sha came out of the devil's snare bracelet and took form on the table. "Why did you come out?" Sima Yue asked as she laid on her side and supported her head with her right hand. Mo Sha waved his hand, and the list opened up. A long list of names appeared in front of him. "Why? Are you interested in the items in this auction?" "Help me buy 2 things. Mo Sha said. "What do you like?" Sima Yue asked. "Colored glass bead and darkness stone." Mo Sha pointed at the 2 items and said. Sima Yue was so shocked that her hands almost dropped her head. She stood up and ran over barefoot, saying, "Big brother, this glass bead is a treasure. The starting bid is more than 10,000 gold coins. How can I help you bid for it if it's not at least 80,000 gold coins?" "You don't have money?" Mo Sha frowned. "When have you ever seen me have money? Our things are all taken directly from the spirit pagoda. My entire family only have 1,000 gold coins." Sima Yue said, "Darkness stone, what is it?" Mo Sha pointed at the rock at the bottom that didn't have a name, only a picture. "You'd have a plan," she said after glancing at it. Sima Yue's assess eyes. Sima Yue. Yue's Yue said Yue. Yue, T. Yue said asked. Of Sima Yue, S. T. Yu of T of them T. S of T. Of st. Of think of a way. With that he turned into black smoke and returned to the devil's snare bracelet. "You. This guy." Sima Yue stomped her feet, walked back to her bed and lay down. "Really, how are we supposed to think of a way?" After freaking out for a while, Sima Yue went to call Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang over. "What's wrong?" Bei Gongtang asked. "I need your help," Sima Yue said as she ran to lock the door, then brought the 2 of them into the spirit pagoda. "What's the matter? Why did you come here?" Ouyang Fei looked at Sima Yue and felt that this guy was a little abnormal. "I've taken a liking to something and want to bid for it. But I need money. So I need you 2 to help me refine some pills. I'll sell them for money." Sima Yue said. "What have you taken a liking to?" "Glass bead. A glass bead with a starting price of 15,000. Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang were shocked by her words and said, "That glass bead's starting price is 15,000, and it's a treasure that everyone wants. I'm afraid that it'll cost at least a few 100,000. "That's right. That's why I said that I need to think of a way to earn money." Sima Yue's heart was bleeding and she wanted to cry. "I still have some money here. You can use it to get some." Ouyang Fei took out a card and handed it to Sima Yue. This was the money-saving card that was commonly used in the Yilin continent. Every card could store a certain amount of gold coins. Green card. This is a card that costs 100,000 gold coins. Sima Yue looked at Ouyang Fei in shock. She didn't expect him to be a tycoon. No, he was a super tycoon. Bei Gongtang looked at the green card and said, "I didn't expect you to be so rich." Ouyang Fei didn't comment on their reactions and stuffed the card into Sima Yue's hands, saying, Use it first. What if you come across something that you want to buy? Sima Yue asked. Ouyang Fei shook his head saying, I've already seen all those things. There's nothing that I want. Then I'll use it first. I'll return it to you later. Sima Yue kept the card and said. But this isn't enough. Bei Gongtang said. I feel that with so many powers fighting for this, 100,000 won't be enough. That's why we need to think of a way to earn some money. Sima Yue said. Oh right, let's sell those low-grade things that we don't need. Then we can take some low-grade pills to sell. Let's see how much we can gather first. 2 days later, Sima Yue and the others sold a large number of pills and spirit tools. However, they only managed to get 20,000 gold coins. Master, you have so many pills. You can also auction them. Thousand Resonance saw that Sima Yue was so worried and reminded her. Didn't you auction the cold ice pill before? This time you can auction the 100 Revolutions pill. It'll definitely be more popular than the cold ice pill. Sima Yue's eyes lit up as she hugged Thousand Resonance and rubbed him, saying, You're so smart. Why didn't I think of the 100 Revolutions pill? However, this 100 Revolutions pill is so rare in the primordial lands. It'll definitely be even more precious in the Yilin continent. When we go, it'll be best if we hide our identity. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if we attract those people. Master can let Big Brother Mo Sha change your aura. Then you can wear a cloak or mask or something to hide your appearance. Thousand Resonance said. That's right. Thank you, Thousand Resonance. Sima Yue let go of Thousand Resonance and started to fiddle with the 100 Revolutions pill. 2 years ago, this 100 Revolutions pill was something that she couldn't even touch. However, she could refine it herself now. Furthermore, this spirit pagoda had the golden snake fruit, which was extremely hard to find. That was why this 100 Revolutions pill wasn't that hard to find for her. Sima Yue chose 400 Revolutions pills and left the rest for Sima Yue and the others. She bid farewell to Bei Gongtang and the others and went out alone. She came to an inconspicuous alley and saw that no one was paying attention to her. So she flashed in. When she came out again, she had already changed her aura. Chapter 190. Book title. Chapter First Earn a Fortune. Author. When she arrived at Ugly Person again, it was the same shop assistant who had received her last time. Sir, is there anything I can help you with? The shop assistant couldn't figure out Sima Yue's strength, but she could feel that her aura was very strong. So she asked carefully. Sima Yue looked at him. As expected, he didn't see through her identity. She didn't say anything, and let Mo Sha speak instead. I'm here to sell things. Mo Sha said. Is it a normal sale or an auction? Auction. Then please follow me upstairs. Our auction is on the 3rd floor. Sima Yue followed the shop assistant to the 3rd floor. She found out that they were selling elixirs, and asked Master Li to come out. May I know what kind of pill this honorable sir wants to sell? Master Li secretly observed for a while, but he couldn't guess which power she was from. It's not good to talk here. Let's go somewhere else, Mo Sha said. Master Li immediately understood, and knew that the other party must have something good. He said, Please follow me to the VIP room. Master Li took her to the 4th floor, which was very spacious. There were only a few rooms, and each room was decorated with high-end and classy decorations. Moreover, they were all soundproof. A maidservant served tea. Sima Yue took a sip, and felt that the tea tasted better than the ones she drank before. What kind of pill would you like to auction? Master Li asked again. Sima Yue took out a jade bottle, and placed it on the table, saying, This pill will definitely be the highlight of this auction. Manager Li picked up the jade bottle doubtfully. Could it be that this pill was even more shocking than the Tier 6 pill? There was nothing special about the 4 golden pills. One had to get close to smell the medicinal fragrance. Even though Manager Li was a 5th grade medicinal pill, he had never seen the 100 Revolutions pill before. He asked curiously, What kind of medicinal pill is this? 100 Revolutions pill. Mo Sha said, How is it? Master Li's hand trembled, and he almost dropped the pill on the ground. 100 Revolutions pill. Not only Master Li, but even the accompanying maidservants were stunned. As long as one was an alchemist, it could be said that there was no one who hadn't heard of the 100 Revolutions pill. However, in the Elin continent, this pill's recipe had long been lost. Even if one knew that such a pill existed, they could only sigh at its name. Now that he heard the name of the 100 Revolutions pill, his surprise was self-evident. Is this really the 100 Revolutions pill? Masterly felt that the pill in his hand was like a cauldron weighing 1,000 pounds. It was so heavy that he could barely breathe. You guys should have even higher level appraisers, right? Emosha said. Only then did Masterly react and said, "Man, go and ask Master to come out." If this was really the 100 Revolutions pill, then the Tier 6 pill, that was the highlight of the auction, would have to give way to it. Very quickly, an old alchemist hurried over and came to Sima Yu's room. The moment he entered, he asked, "Where is the 100 Revolutions pill?" Masterly hurriedly handed the jade bottle over. The old man took it and poured out the pills inside. It's this. The old man looked at the pill in his hand emotionally as tears streamed down his face. I never thought that I would be able to see this pill again in my lifetime. It wasn't in vain. It wasn't in vain. Master, is this really the 100 Revolutions pill? Masterly asked. This is the 100 Revolutions pill, the old man said confidently. That year, I was fortunate enough to see it once. I will never forget it in this lifetime. It's a pity that I didn't get the recipe at that time. Wasn't this pill's recipe lost? It was lost in the Elin continent, but it can still be found in other places. The old man said, May I ask your honor, was this refined by you? Sima Yue sat back in her chair and said, This has nothing to do with the auction this time, right? It has nothing to do with it. The old man calmed himself down and put the pill back into the jade bottle, saying, This is just my own curiosity. After seeing the 100 Revolutions pill in my early years, I've been thinking about it my entire life. I originally thought that I would never see this pill again, but I never thought that I would see it today. That's why I wanted to ask and fulfill my life's wish. That's right, I refined it, Emosha said. It's true. The old man couldn't control his emotions. May I ask if your honor is willing to sell this pill's recipe? Emosha was silent for a moment, saying, First, tell me the starting price of this 100 Revolutions pill. This 100 Revolutions pill is already a first-tier pill. The starting price is slightly more expensive than a 6th-tier pill, 20,000 gold coins. The old man said, 20,000 gold coins. Sima Yue sucked in a breath of air. Does your honor think that it's too cheap? The old man felt Sima Yue's shock and hurriedly explained, This auction is like this. The starting price won't be too high. If these 4 pills are auctioned, each pill will be worth at least 100,000 gold coins. Sima Yue tapped her fingers on the table. 4 pills would be 400,000 gold coins. Adding on Ouyang Fei's 100,000 gold coins, that would be 500,000 gold coins. This should be enough. Alright, then we'll go according to your price, Emosha said. The old man took out a card and said, This is your number card. Also, this is our auction house's blue card. Those who have this card are all our VIPs. In the future, you will be able to get a 15% discount on anything you buy from our branches. Sima Yue kept the blue card and number card and got up to leave. Your honor, please wait. The old man called out to Sima Yue. Is something the matter? Our auction house would like to discuss with you. Is it possible to buy your pill's recipe? The old man asked. Buy the pill's recipe? Yes, if your honor is willing. We are willing to pay 300,000 gold coins for the 100 Revolutions pill's recipe. 300,000? Sima Yue frowned. Since you know the value of this 100 Revolutions pill, and know that this pill's recipe has been lost, this 300,000. When she came out of Ugly Person, she already had 500,000 gold coins in her spatial ring. As expected, he's rich and overbearing, taking out 500,000 gold coins without batting an eye. However, she never thought that money would be so easy to earn. No wonder those alchemists were all so arrogant. This pill was worth a lot of money. Once again, she entered the small alley. After confirming that there was no one nearby, she took off her clothes and changed back into her previous clothes. Then she swaggered out. Stop right there. Just as she left the alley, she met someone she didn't want to meet. Chinwan stopped Sima Yue and said, "Why aren't you hiding in Sand Gully today? You actually came out?" Sima Yue looked at Chinwan and rolled her eyes in her heart. Why did she meet her? She didn't like to deal with these kinds of people and said indifferently, "A good dog doesn't block the way. Why are you blocking my way? You actually called me a dog." Chinwan heard the meaning behind her words and shouted angrily, "I didn't call you a dog. I only said that those who block me are dogs. If you don't block me for no reason, then aren't you a dog?" Sima Yue shrugged her shoulders. Chinwan was confused and glared at her. She turned around and said to Shiyushi behind her, "Cousin, it's this person. They beat me up so badly that day. You have to uphold justice for me." Chapter 191. Sima Yue then shifted her gaze to Shiyushi. She didn't see her face clearly the last time, but now that she saw her, she was indeed a beauty. However, compared to her appearance, her aura was more eye-catching. Shiyushi looked at Sima Yue and saw that Sima Yue was actually looking straight at her. She was not intimidated by her aura and said, "You have guts. Courage is borrowed from heaven and earth." Sima Yue smiled and said, "Mei Nio, you look pretty. Do you want to follow me to the mountains and be my wife? Just based on a young brat like you?" Shiyushi said, "You haven't even grown hair, and you're already thinking about hitting on women." Sima Yue stretched out a finger and shook it. No. I don't have any ideas about ordinary women. I'm only interested in beautiful women." Smooth talker. Shiyushi did not get angry and said, "Since my cousin said that you guys beat her up, as her cousin, I can't just ignore it. Kneel down and apologize to her. As long as she forgives you, you can leave today." "Make her kneel?" Sima Yue smirked. "What if I don't? Then I can only break your legs and make you kneel." She calmly said. She did not feel that her words were cruel. "It's a pity. My body, hair, and skin belong to my parents. I love my body very much." Sima Yue said, "I don't kneel to the heavens or the earth. I only kneel to my parents. As for your cousin, it's even more impossible. Don't kneel to the heavens, don't kneel to the earth." Shiyushi heard Sima Yue's words and was stunned for a second before saying, "You're a rather ambitious child. However, this will still crumble in the face of strength." "Really?" Sima Yue shrugged helplessly when she saw that the other party was not going to let her go. "What should I do? I don't want to lay my hands on a beauty. My heart would ache if I hurt you." "Then let's see who's the one hurting who," she said as she curled her fingers and grabbed towards Sima Yue. Sima Yue saw her speed and the sound of the wind she created. She had a rough understanding of her abilities. With a twist of his body, he easily dodged her attack. Then, he quickly took 2 steps back and left the opponent's attack range. She did not expect Sima Yue's speed to be so fast. When Sima Yue dodged, she changed her direction and tried to grab her. However, she was still unable to catch her. "Beauty, if you can catch me within 10 moves, I will apologize to her." "You're standing." Sima Yue laughed as she dodged. She had always been stronger than her peers and had never met anyone who was faster than her. Because the two of them didn't use any spirit chi during this chase, they were only competing with their physical strength. 2 moves, 3 moves, 4 moves, 9 moves, 10 moves. After 10 moves, she did not even manage to touch Sima Yue. She did not even manage to touch the corner of her clothes. Her speed was very fast and her reaction was also very fast. However, it could not be compared to Sima Yue, who had stayed in the Sophia Mountain range for 2 years. After 10 moves, Sima Yue came out of the crowd and said to Shiyushi, "Beauty, this young master has something on today, so I won't be chatting with you. Next time, remember to speed up a little." After speaking, she quickly left. She did not even see how she managed to get out of the crowd. When she saw her leave, her face was terrifyingly gloomy. "Cousin, you're letting him go just like that?" Chinwan went forward and said unwillingly, "Can you catch him?" She glanced at Chinwan and said, "That brat's abilities are not weak. The most important thing now is the auction in a few days. I don't want to cause any trouble. After the auction, there will naturally be a chance to take revenge. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Although Qin Wan said this, her eyes were still filled with unwillingness as she watched Sima Yue leave. When Sima Yue returned to the Sangul army, Wei Ziqi and the others were playing with little Tu in the courtyard. When they saw her return, they asked, "How was it?" "Done," Sima Yue said. "However, I'm afraid that the auction will have to be pushed back for another 2 days." "Pushed back again?" Fatty Chu was shocked and asked, "Why?" "The 100 Revolutions pill is an almost extinct pill after all. Now that it has appeared, such a heaven-defying pill will naturally attract everyone's interest. There will be even more things that want to be auctioned, and more money will be needed," Sima Yue said. "They said that it will be pushed back for another 2 days. I can just unblock little Tu's meridians one more time." "Yeah, you rested for so long the last time. We don't know what will happen this time. It's best if you maintain your mental strength," Bei Gongtang said. "Yeah." Sima Yue nodded her head. She was thinking the same thing. "Yue, do you have enough money now?" Wei Ziqi asked. "It's enough." Sima Yue was extremely happy when she said this. "I sold the 100 Revolutions pill formula to Ugly Person and earned 600,000 gold coins. 400 Revolutions pills can earn me at least 400,000 gold coins. That adds up to 1,000,000 gold coins," Fatty Chu said. "Why do I feel like I'm a nouveau riche?" "Nouveau riche, your sister." Sima Yue patted Fatty Chu and said, "I've always been rich. It's just that it was a thing in the past, but now it's turned into money. We'll definitely be able to get the colored glass pearl this time," Wei Ziqi said. "However, Yue, why do you have to get the colored glass pearl? I didn't see you so interested in it before." "My group of people like it. As their master, I can only satisfy them," Sima Yue said helplessly. Mo Sha, who was in the devil's snare bracelet, heard Sima Yue say that she was his master, and could not help but twitch his mouth. There had never been anyone who dared to say that they were his master. If it was anyone else, he would definitely slap them to death. However, why was it that when Sima Yue said that, he did not seem angry at all? "Yue, when do you plan on clearing little Tu's throat for the second time?" Bei Gongtang asked. "Tomorrow," Sima Yue said. "Little Tu rests well today. We'll start again tomorrow, all right?" "All right." Little Tu nodded. Although he was afraid of the terrifying pain, it did not stop his desire to cultivate. After that, Sima Yue told them about her encounter with Qin Wan and Shi Yuxi. The others did not think much of it, and only said that they should leave early to avoid meeting them again. Just as Sima Yue said, that afternoon, the auction house released news that the auction would be delayed for another 2 days. Being delayed twice in a row was something that had never happened before. Many people were dissatisfied, but when they heard that the delay was due to the appearance of the 100 Revolutions pill, their dissatisfaction turned into excitement, and they all went to gather funds. Even Shi Yuxi, who had seen many good things since she was young, was shocked. Her innate talent was not bad. If she could obtain the 100 Revolutions pill, she would definitely be able to defy the heavens in the future. "Men, immediately go and get the gold coins. Gather enough funds for me. Also, send someone to report this to Imperial Father." Chapter 192. The next day, Sima Yue went to Little Tu's room. Little Tu was waiting for her. "Let's begin." When Little Tu saw Sima Yue take out the frost pill, he remembered that when he went to Ugly Person's shop, she gave him a starting price of 5,000 a pill. He knew that this pill was definitely not cheap. Seeing that she gave it to him without thinking, he said, "Sister, Little Tu will remember sister's kindness." Sima Yue patted Little Tu's head and said, "Okay." Xiao Tu swallowed the pill. Sima Yue continued to channel spiritual energy into his body to help the frost pill melt. When his body started to freeze, she drew out a wisp of flame and channeled it into Xiao Tu's body. Little Tu's body trembled. He was afraid of this flame, but he clenched his teeth and didn't make a sound. Just like last time, Sima Yue only managed to open 4 meridians before withdrawing. Although she was slightly better than last time, and could still hold on for a while, she felt that Little Tu's condition was not good. so she chose to end it here. The moment the flames retreated, Little Two opened his eyes and saw Sima Yue's pale face. He moved his lips and fainted. Bei Gongtang walked in. Just like the last time, she took over the responsibility of taking care of Little Two and let Sima Yue rest. Sima Yue took out the soul fluid and dripped a drop into Little Two's mouth. Then, she returned to her room and ate a drop before sitting cross-legged to cultivate. During this period, Bai Yunqi came to look for them and said that she would take them out to play. As Sima Yue was in seclusion and did not want to be disturbed, they left her alone and went out. Sima Yue was still in seclusion until the day of the auction. Just as everyone was hesitating whether or not to call her out, the light of advancement shot out from the house, blocking their path. Yue actually advanced again. Fatty Chu slapped his thigh. Why haven't I advanced yet? It's obvious that we're all cultivating at the same level. Ouyang Fei said faintly, you don't have enough talent. Just accept it. Sob sob sob. Why is Yu so much stronger than us? This won't do. After this matter is settled, I must cultivate properly. I can't fall too far behind. This was not only his thought, but also the thoughts of the others. Because Sima Yue had advanced to the next round, they left much later than the others. Bai Yin Chun had already brought the Sangul mercenaries to Ugly Person. Only Bai Yinchi was still waiting for them. Sima Yue had finished her advancement. It had been 2 months since her last advancement. However, she had been busy recently and did not have the time to cultivate. That was why it had taken so long. A level 2 spiritual grandmaster. I wonder how strong I am now. Clenching her fists, Sima Yue nodded in satisfaction when she felt the energy coursing through her body. When she opened the door and went out, it was already dark outside. Everyone was still waiting for her in the courtyard. Yue, you finally came out. If you didn't come, we would have missed the auction. Bai Yinchi said. Today's auction? It's already been so many days. Sima Yue smiled and said, then let's go quickly. The beast carriage was still waiting for them outside the door. Sima Yue went up with them. When they reached the small alley, she left Wei Ziqi and the others to go by themselves. She went to the small alley and changed her clothes before hurrying over to Ugly Person. At this time, there were only a few minutes left before the auction started. The shop assistants were already preparing to close the door. When they saw Sima Yue coming over, they hurriedly opened the door and said, Your Highness, you've come. Please let the staff bring you to your private room. Sima Yue nodded and followed a lady in. The auction was behind Ugly Person. It was a building. Including the basement, there were a total of 3 levels. The lowest level was the auction stage and the public seating area. The people here were either ordinary auctioneers or people with insufficient power. These people were mostly here to join in the fun. The second level was reserved for people with status and power. It faced the auction stage in an arc, and there were about 10 rooms. The third level was reserved for people with great power. For example, the West Moon Country's royal family, the Alchemist Guild, the Armament Master Guild, and so on. There were a total of 20 rooms on the third level. There were a few rooms that were already lit up, indicating that there were people inside. Rooms 1 to 5 were all VIPs among VIPs. Currently, only Shi Yushi was in room 5. The first 4 rooms were all dark, and there was no one inside. When Sima Yue went in, almost everyone had already arrived. When the time was up, the door was closed. Your Highness, this way please. The servant girl brought Sima Yue through the side of the main hall and up the stairs to the third level. Everyone was already seated, so Sima Yue was especially conspicuous. Those people were all trying to guess the identity of the person who was able to have Ugly Person's people personally lead the way. Furthermore, it was someone who was alone. Room 3. When those people saw Sima Yue enter room 3, they were all stunned. How long has it been since the lights in room 3 were lit up? The West Moon Country's royal family can only stay in room 5. Who would have thought that that person would enter room 3? That's right. I heard that the person who provided the 100 Revolutions pills was wearing a black cloak. Could it be that he was the one who provided the 100 Revolutions pills? So it was him. No wonder he could enter room 3. I heard that this 100 revolutions pill was personally refined by him. If we can invite him to our family, then our family's revival will be just around the corner. Just think about it. I heard that the auction house wanted to recruit him, but he didn't agree. How could he possibly go to your small family? Wei Ziqi and the rest were still wondering who this person was. Now that they heard that he was the one who provided the 100 revolutions pills, they immediately understood that it was Sima Yue. Who would have thought that Yue would actually go to room 3 on the 3rd level? If we had known earlier, we would have followed him to see for ourselves. Fatty Chu said. Yue naturally has her own considerations for not letting us follow. This 100 revolutions pill has caused a huge commotion. If people knew what it was, it would definitely attract trouble. Look, Yue has already changed her aura. Wei Ziqi lectured. I understand. I was just saying. Fatty Chu said. The servant girl brought Sima Yue into the room. The lights automatically lit up, allowing her to see the interior clearly. It's really luxurious, Sima Yue muttered in her heart. This room is even more luxurious than other people's rooms. Your Highness, the spirit fruits here are specially prepared for you, the servant girl said. Furthermore, we have also prepared a list of the items to be auctioned. All right, you may leave. Sima Yue lowered her voice and said. If there is anything, you can press this button. We will send someone over immediately. This servant will leave now. The servant girl left the room after she finished speaking and closed the door, isolating the outside from any inquiries. Sima Yue came to the table and looked at the spirit fruits. Although they could not be compared to the ones in the spirit pagoda, they were still considered good for the outside world. At this time, all the lights in the hall lit up and focused on the auction stage. Those who were familiar with the situation knew that the auction was about to begin. Chapter 193. A woman with a hot figure walked onto the stage. She was wearing a cheongsam, which accentuated her figure perfectly. She had a beautiful face, exquisite makeup, and her hair was tied up behind her head. She looked noble and charming. She waved her hand, and the people below immediately quieted down. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this auction. After 2 postponements, the auction has finally begun. I wonder if everyone is as expectant as Junlan? Junlan said with a smile. There were sounds of agreement from below. Everyone could not wait any longer. Junlan looked at the reactions of the people below with satisfaction and said, everyone knows that our ugly person's guards have always been excellent. This time, we have quite a few excellent auction items, so naturally we have good guards. All 4 corners of our auction house are guarded by spirit emperors. And there's also a spirit venerable. So if you don't succeed in the auction, you can't cause trouble here. Following her words, several waves of pressure spread out from the auction house at the same time, and then quickly retreated. There's actually a spirit venerable in charge. The strength of this auction house really can't be underestimated. Sima Yue also felt the pressure from those people, and said while rubbing her chin, everyone's seats in private rooms have a list of the items that will be auctioned tonight. I'm sure everyone knows what items will be auctioned tonight. If there's anything you want, be prepared to make your move. Junlan reminded. I'm sure everyone can't wait any longer. I now announce that tonight's auction has officially begun. Now let's bring up our first auction item tonight. A beautiful woman came up with a plate and placed it on the auction table. She then removed the red cloth and retreated to the side. This is a piece of volcanic rock. It was taken from a volcano and is close to the Earth's core. It has been baked at high temperatures for a long time and is an important material for refining fire attribute spirit artifacts. This piece of volcanic rock weighs 1.5 kilograms. The starting price is 300 gold coins, and each increment must not be less than 10%. Let the bidding begin. She knocked the small hammer in her hand, and the people below began to bid. The price went up from 30 to 50. Sima Yue looked at the bidding below and realized that the prices of the auctions were set at a relatively low price. She guessed that it was to lure everyone into bidding. Towards the end, it was almost like the competition was causing trouble. She took a look and found that the items in front of her didn't pique her interest. The darkness stone that she wanted was in the 20th or so, while the colored glass stone was in the last 20 or so. Thus, she ate spirit fruits in the house and watched the people below bid. Fatty Chew's medicinal ingredients were also auctioned off a few months ago. The starting price was 500 gold coins, and in the end, it was bought by an alchemist for 1,500 gold coins. Fatty Chew and the rest had never thought of earning much money. They had only come to join in the fun, so they weren't dissatisfied with the price. Not long after, Wei Ziqi's items were also auctioned for 3,000 gold coins. After that, there were also some materials for refining pills and refining tools. When these were almost done, a black stone was brought up. This is a rarely seen stone. Our appraiser can't identify what material it is, but it's as hard as iron. Ordinary flames have no effect on it, so we guessed that it can also be used to refine weapons. The starting price is 1,000 gold coins. Because everyone didn't know what use this stone had, there weren't many people bidding for it. After all, towards uncertain factors, everyone had a suspicious attitude. If they bought it well, they would have profited, but if they bought a useless stone, then they would have suffered a huge loss. Even if it could be used to refine weapons, if they didn't know what use it had, then it would be useless. Thus, it was different from the previous bids. This time, there were only 2 or 3 people bidding. After 2 to 3 minutes, the price had just reached 2,000 gold coins. 2,500. Qin Wan's voice came from a room on the second floor. 2,600. Hearing Qin Wan bid, Bai Yinqi followed suit. The items at the front weren't very high level, so it was basically the people in the main hall who were bidding. There was no movement from the second and third floors. It was rare that Qin Wan from the domineering mercenary group had taken a fancy to something. The people below all gave up, and Bai Yinqi appeared again. 3,000. Qin Wan unhappily pulled a long face. This Bai Yinqi just liked to go against her. 3,100. Bai Yinqi followed suit. 3,300. 3,400. 4,000. 4,100. No matter how much Qin Wan bid, Bai Yinqi would always bid 100 more than her. It was obvious that she was targeting her. Bai Yinqi, you're not even interested in this thing. Why are you bidding with me? Qin Wan couldn't take it anymore, and shouted towards the outside of the room. I think this thing isn't bad, so I want to buy it and put it in my foot basin. Bai Yinqi said. Haha. The people below all laughed out loud. Only a person like Bai Yinqi would be able to say such words. Even Sima Yue couldn't help but smile. Shi Yueshi and 2 members of the royal family sat in the number 5 private room, waiting for the auction to start later. Seeing Qin Wan and Bai Yinqi making a ruckus below, she frowned and said 5,000. If Qin Wan liked it, then she would just buy it for her. If they kept delaying like this, when would they be able to get to the auction later? Seeing the number 5 private room light up, the people below all tactfully closed their eyes. Everyone knew that this was the West Moon Kingdom's royal family making a move. Who would be willing to go against them? As expected, once Shi Yueshi opened her mouth, Bai Yinqi also went down and didn't make another sound. Qin Wan guessed that Shi Yueshi was bidding for her, and didn't bid anymore. Junlan watched from the stage. The fact that this stone could be sold for 5,000 gold coins was already out of her expectations. Seeing that no one else was bidding, she followed the procedure and asked for the last time. Number 5 private room bids 5,000 gold coins. Are there any higher bids? She paused. Seeing that no one was bidding, she continued. If there aren't any 5,000 gold coins going once, 5,000 gold coins going twice, 5,000 gold coins going thrice. 5,100. Number 3's voice rang out, interrupting Junlan's final words. Hearing number 3's bid, the people below were a little shocked. For her to bid at this time, wasn't it slapping Shi Yueshi's face? As expected, Shi Yueshi was very unhappy. She didn't make a move just now. Now that she was about to bid for it, she actually opened her mouth. Wasn't this clearly going against her? Her face darkened as she said, 5,500. 5,600. 6,000. 6,100. 6,500. 6,600. Raising the price in the same manner as Bai Yinqi, It was obvious that she was looking for trouble. "You're doing this on purpose," she said. Sima Yue let Emo Sha speak on her behalf. "What on purpose?" "I just remembered that my pill refining furnace's leg is broken, and it's just the right height for this stone. Beauty Lawn said that this is so sturdy. I was thinking that I could take it back to pad my pill refining furnace. Even if it doesn't work, I can still give it to someone, and let him take it back and place it in the foot basin." Number 3 and number 5 were arguing. The atmosphere wasn't very good, but hearing her say that, the people below couldn't help but laugh. Chapter 194. She would be an idiot if she still couldn't tell that Sima Yue was doing it on purpose. "Princess, don't be angry. Everyone is free to bid in this auction. If you can bid, then so can I. Miss Junlan, am I right?" Sima Yue threw the question to Junlan. Of course. Junlan didn't seem to be afraid of the West Moon Imperial family, as she smiled and said, "In any case, I'm just here to join in the fun today. Those cultivation techniques and pills don't attract me at all. If the princess wants to play, I don't mind playing with you. It's just that I don't know when I stopped." Sima Yue was very direct with her words. She was just teasing her. When you offered a high price, she would stop. "Let's see if you still have the money to compete with others for those things." She was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. No one had ever dared to talk to her like that. But the other party's identity was extraordinary. Most importantly, she didn't know anything about him. If she played with him, it wouldn't be a big deal. But if she lost the chance to snatch the 100 Revolutions pill, because of this, she would definitely regret it to death. The old man who was with her also shook his head at her, indicating that she shouldn't lose her mind because of her quarrel with the other party. Junlan saw that she wasn't speaking, so she smiled and asked, "Room 3 has bid 6,600. Is there anyone else who wants to bid?" The entire venue was silent. What a joke. Even Shiyueshi had given up. Who else would dare to provoke this person? Qinwan still wanted to bid, but was stopped by her father. Even the auction house had to be courteous to him, so domineering guild couldn't afford to offend him. Qinwan stomped her feet unwillingly, and heard Junlan knock down the auction mallet. At first, the items were not very expensive, so they all paid in cash. After a while, a maid came over with a tray. Sima Yue asked her to put down the tray, then paid her 6,600 gold coins, and asked her to leave. The maidservant tactfully closed the door. Sima Yue then took the tray, and removed the red cloth on it. There was a black stone in a small box. Sima Yue picked up the stone, and felt that there was a slight chill coming from it. "This is the darkness stone?" She took a closer look. Other than the fact that the temperature was a little low, there was nothing different about it compared to other stones. Emo Sha seemed to be a little excited. Sima Yue could feel the devil's snare bracelet vibrating quite a bit. "Emo Sha, what kind of stone is this dark stone?" "An item of extreme yin and extreme evil." Emo Sha came out from the devil's snare bracelet. Looking at the black stone, his eyes twinkled. "Something of extreme yin and extreme evil? Then what are you going to do with it?" Sima Yue was shocked. Emo Sha glanced at her and said, "I'm originally someone from the devil realm. In your so-called light clan, I'm an evil being. This thing is a great supplement for me. Why is this dark stone so cold?" The dark stone is extremely rare in the devil realm and ghost realm. Generally, it can only be formed in ancient battlefields. It's made from the blood of humans and spirit beasts, so naturally it's cold. Emo Sha said. Sima Yu heard it, and subconsciously threw the dark stone back into the box. "What does this thing do to you? You don't have to worry about that." Emo Sha said, "Remember my colored glass bead." After speaking, he rolled up the dark stone, and put it back into the devil's snare bracelet. Sima Yue looked at the empty box, and accepted her fate, as she kept it back into her spatial ring. "Really, I don't know if you're the owner or if I'm the owner." The auction below continued. The first 50 items were mostly bought by the people on the first floor. After the 50th, there were only a few people on the second floor who participated. At this time, those who participated did not place their sights on the last few items. They knew that they could not win against others, so they might as well bid for the items that they liked. When Ouyang Fei's divine beast magic crystal appeared, it caused quite a commotion. Even the armament masters and alchemists guilds started bidding. In the end, the divine beast magic crystal, that was originally worth a few thousand, was sold for 30,000 gold coins. The gold coins were quickly sent to the private room. Fatty Chu looked at Ouyang Fei calmly receiving the gold coins and said enviously, "If I knew earlier, I would have also taken out a divine beast magic crystal to auction. It's hard to buy with money. If you knew earlier, you know?" Wei Ziqi said with a smile. "However, this auction is really quite interesting. There are all kinds of things, and the prices are even higher than the ones sold outside." Fatty Chu said, "You're the seller now, so you naturally want the prices to be higher. If you meet something you want to buy, you won't feel that it's good." Bei Gongtang said. "That's true." Fatty Chu nodded. The further they went, the higher the prices of the items. The people on the first floor were basically just there to watch the show. The main bidders had shifted to the second and third floor. Sima Yue was not interested in these things. She watched the people below call out prices. Sometimes she felt bored and called out twice. However, when she found out that she called out more than 3 times, those people would not call out anymore. It made her buy 2 more items for nothing. As a result, she became quiet and did not call out anymore. She did not call out again until the colored glass bead came out. With great difficulty, the colored glass bead came out. Sima Yue found that many girls were crying out in surprise. They were mesmerized by the colored glass bead's appearance. This is a colored glass bead. It has a beautiful appearance and has been around for a long time. It's quite beautiful to wear as jewelry. The most important thing is that wearing the colored glass bead can help you calm down after a long time. It can help you calm down. Junlon said. "Miss June, I heard that this used to belong to a demon king. Is that true?" Someone asked. Everyone present was frightened by these words. Some of the people who wanted to call out a price stopped thinking about it. If it really belonged to a demon king, it would not just be beautiful. It would be fatal. Junlan's smile did not diminish. She said generously, "That's right. This colored glass bead used to belong to a demon king in the demon realm. However, it later circulated around the world. It's not only the people of the demon realm who can have it. Of course, if it were not for this factor, our starting price would not be so low. After all, this used to belong to a demon king." 20,000. The first person to call out a price of 20,000 was probably because she did not want anyone to compete with her. 20,000. 23,000. 25,000. There were not many people calling out a price. They were all raising the price bit by bit. 30,000. The first person who called out a price just now raised the price by quite a bit. Hearing that the price had reached 30,000, the people who called out a price just now all stopped. Sima Yue turned on the light and said, 30,000. The person in the private room originally thought that victory was in her hands. She did not expect Sima Yue to make a move. She looked unhappy but still called out, 35,000. 36,000. 40,000. 40,000. When the people below heard Sima Yue calling out a price like that, some of them could not help but laugh. They thought that she was playing with this person like how she played with Shi Yueshi. Chapter 195. After that, the man bid a few more times. Sima Yue bid 1 or 2,000 each time, which made the man feel helpless. In the end, that person gritted his teeth and shouted 100,000 yuan. Sima Yue still followed, making that person feel helpless. All right, you win. That person said hatefully, I won't follow. Everyone thought that she was joking, but only she knew that she was serious. As for why she only added 1 or 2,000 every time, she wouldn't say that it was because she didn't want to spend more money. If that person knew, he would definitely be depressed to death. How could there be such a scammer? Soon the servant girl brought the colored glass bead over. Sima Yue spent 120,000 to exchange for it. It's not as expensive as I thought, but this bead is quite pretty. She played with the glass bead in her hand and said with a smile, This price was much cheaper than she had expected. It was probably because the items at the back were more precious. Everyone wanted to save their money at the back. They didn't want anything to happen at the front and let her take advantage of them. She didn't even have time to look at the colored glass bead when the auction for her cold ice pill started. Junlon held the cold ice pill and said, "I believe everyone is familiar with the cold ice pill. It's a 5th-tier pill. Although its grade isn't high, it's quite useful for us spirit masters. Everyone knows that the higher one's strength is, the easier it is to suffer from chi deviation during cultivation. And this cold ice pill is the best pill to treat chi deviation." At this point, she paused and looked at the reactions below with satisfaction. She continued, "The effects of this pill are well known, and the difficulty of refining this pill is obvious to all. From medicinal herbs to refining, it was not a simple matter. Therefore, the starting price for this auction was 5,000 gold coins each. Let's start the bidding." Although the price of 5,000 was somewhat high, there were still many people bidding for it. After all, this medicinal pill was still very hard to come by. If he kept it now, it would be better to be prepared in case he went berserk one day. The last one was sold for 30,000 gold coins, one for 35,000 gold coins. Sima Yu was quite satisfied with this price. In the private room that Wei Ziqi and the others were in, Little Two was already deeply shocked by the price of the cold ice pill. "Brother actually gave me such an expensive pill." Thinking about how Sima Yue did not even blink when she gave him the pill, he was extremely touched. Bei Gong Tang patted Little Two's head, saying, "Yue is really good to you. I will remember Big Brother's kindness." Little Two said seriously. Time passed bit by bit, and most of the items were sold. There were only a few valuable items left. At this time, many of the forces on the second floor had already been divided into teams that were just there for fun. The competition was mainly for the third floor. Sima Yue watched them fight. Although these things were precious, they were not attractive to her. She had already bid for the 2 items she had come here for. She had already achieved her goal, and the other items were not essential. 100,000, 110,000, 150,000, 200,000. Now the bids were increasing by tens of thousands. Thinking back to the past, the bids were increasing by a few thousand. The difference was too big. At this time, a servant girl brought up a tray, but did not remove the red cloth on it. Instead, she retreated to the side. Next up is the highlight of our auction. This time, the auction item is the 6th-ranked God's Power Pill. Taking this pill can instantly increase a person's battle power by 1-fold. Think about it, if you are fighting with someone, and both of you are of the same rank, but your battle power is doubled. Junlon does not need to say much about the outcome. There are a total of 2 God's Power Pills. The starting price for each pill is 15,000. Sima Yue did not think that the starting price for the God's Power Pill was only 15,000. The starting price for her colored glass pearl was 16,000. When she came back to her senses, the first pill had already been set at 250,000. The second pill was set at 300,000. The starting price is 15,000, and the final price is 300,000. That is to say, it's 20 times the price. The starting price for the 100 Revolutions pill is 20,000. That means it can go up to 400,000. Whoa, I'm rich. Sima Yue calculated the price, and her heart bloomed with joy. You calm down. Isn't it just 1,000,000 gold coins? You used to have so much more than this. Little Roar was happily eating a spirit fruit as he looked at her with disdain. That was in the past. Anyway, I don't remember. I only know that I am very poor now. Sima Yue snorted. No, I have to think of a way to raise the price. After the God's Power Pill was taken down, her 100 Revolutions pill was brought up next. The 100 Revolutions pill was not placed in a jade bottle, but was placed on a red cloth. The 4 golden pills immediately attracted everyone's attention. This is the 100 Revolutions pill. It looks different from other medicinal pills. Can eating this pill really cleanse one's muscles and marrow? Of course it can. It is said that after eating this, even trash can become a genius. Tisk tsk. I wonder who will be able to bid for it. In any case, it won't be you or me, haha. I'm really curious how much it will sell for in the end. No matter how much it sells for, it will be worth it. Think about it. A single pill can be the birth of a genius. As long as it is a powerful clan, a genius is worth more than a few 100,000 gold coins. That makes sense. I see that many powers are here today for the 100 Revolutions pill. And there are only 4 pills. I think there will be a good show to watch. Haha, let's wait. Junlon looked at the reactions of the people below, and did not say anything. A few people were envious of the 100 Revolutions pill, and knew that they had no chance of winning it. They wanted to directly snatch it. But before they could move, 5 powerful auras pressed down on them, killing their thoughts in the cradle. Oomph! A cold snort rang out, causing those who had lost their rationality to regain their senses. Only then did they remember that there were 5 experts here. If they really flew over to snatch it, they would be dead by now. Junlon waited for those people to calm down before smiling and saying, "That's right. This is the long-lost 100 Revolutions pill." To be honest, this is the first time Junlon has seen this 100 Revolutions pill. But our appraiser has appraised it, and is sure that it is the 100 Revolutions pill. I don't think I need to explain the effects of this 100 Revolutions pill. It can cleanse the muscles and marrow, completely changing a person's physique. Even if you were a waste before, it can still make you a genius. If you were originally a genius, then you can only become a ghost. Haha. The people below were amused by her words. The recipe for this 100 Revolutions pill has already been lost. It is said that the ingredients inside are even rarer, so perhaps we will only see it once in our lives. This can be said to be our only chance. Everyone must seize this opportunity. You can't afford to lose this opportunity. If you lose this opportunity, you might lose a chance to become a genius. A clan may lose a future genius. Miss Junlon, don't say any more. Let's start. A person from a private room on the 2nd floor shouted. Alright, everyone knows the value of this pill. Junlon will not waste any more words. The starting price is 20,000. Let's start the auction. Chapter 196. 25,000, 30,000, 40,000, 150,000. Sima Yue watched them bid from upstairs. Because everyone knew that she was the one who was auctioning it, she could not participate and could only watch. She suddenly thought of something and pressed the service light. Immediately, a servant girl came forward. Sir, how may I be of service to you? I would like to see your manager. Immediately. Please wait a moment. The servant girl retreated and very quickly, a manager came forward. Sir, is there something you need? The manager asked respectfully. I have an additional request for my auction item. Downstairs, the first pill stopped at 300,000. Just as everyone thought that the price was going to be set, Wei Ziqi suddenly said, 330,000. 330,000. Is there anyone else who wants to add? Junlon asked. 350,000. Bai Yunqi shouted from the private room of the Sand Gull mercenary group. 380,000. 400,000. Shi Yishi bid. 420,000. Wei Ziqi bid again. 450,000. Bai Yunqi followed. 460,000. The domineering mercenary group liked to drink Bai Yunqi and go against them. 470,000. Bai Yunqi said. 480,000. Qinwan followed. 490,000. Bai Yunqi's voice was a little awkward. To outsiders, it seemed that he was about to reach the limit. In the private room, Bai Yunchun and Sun Ran looked at their son strangely. 400,000 was not a small sum to their mercenary group. However, if it could really change their son's body constitution and make his innate talent better, they would support it. In the end, only Qin Wan and Bai Yunqi were bidding. One pill was 400,000, so the others had their eyes on the last 3 pills. Being together with 2 unwise people was digging a hole for oneself. 500,000. Qin Wan bid. 50. Forget it. You're good. I'll let you have it. Bai Yunqi said unwillingly. 500,000. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? Junlon asked. If not, 500,000 going once, 500,000 going twice, 500,000 going thrice. The first 100 revolutions pill will go to Miss Qin. Congratulations on obtaining this treasure. A maid came up and took out a jade pendant. She put down 100 revolutions pill and went to the private room to exchange it for money. Qin Wan's father, Qin Ming, felt a bit of heartache. 500,000 in exchange for a single pill. However, when he thought about how eating it could be exchanged for a genius, he felt a little better. Qin Wan looked at the pill, and her eyes lit up. She couldn't wait to take it out and look at it again and again. Father, can I eat it now? Don't worry. We're still outside. It won't be too late to eat when we get back. Qin Ming stopped him. All right. Qin Wan put the medicinal pill back and watched the second round of competition. Sima Yue didn't expect the first pill to fall into Qin Wan's hands. However, she was still happy that she had cheated them of 500,000 yuan. The bidding for the second 100 revolutions pill began, and the price rose sharply. Every time there was a bit of weakness, Wei Ziqi and Bai Yunqi would shout at each other for a while, spurring others to bid. In the end, this pill was set at a price of 550,000 yuan. After the second pill was sold, Junlan heard someone call her from behind to stop the bidding for the last two pills. She smiled apologetically to everyone and walked to the front of the auction stage. She heard the manager whisper a few words and looked suspiciously at the number 3 private room. When she returned to the auction stage, she regained her charming appearance and said, "Just now, the manager said that the owner of this 100 revolutions pill requested that the remaining 2 pills be auctioned together." Boom dash, this news caused the people below to panic. They originally thought that they would have 2 chances, but now there was only one. If they couldn't get it this time, it would mean that they had no fate with the 100 revolutions pill. This person is really despicable. Many people in the private room cursed. We didn't say that we can't change the conditions of the auction during the auction. Therefore, your esteemed self's request is not against the rules. Therefore, we will now auction the remaining 200 revolutions pills together. The starting price is 40,000 yuan. Begin bidding. The entire auction house was silent for a few seconds before everyone started shouting crazily. There was no need for Wei Ziqi and the rest to act as shills. The price had already soared to 1 million yuan. 1,050,000 yuan. She shouted with a pained expression. She had never thought of spending 1 million yuan to buy the 100 revolutions pill. She had originally planned to spend a few 100,000 yuan to buy 1 pill. Now that she had to spend twice the amount, it really made her unhappy. Sima Yue saw that the people below were shouting with a pained expression and added fuel to the fire, saying, "Everyone, please don't think that I'm trying to cheat everyone. It's best to eat 2 of these 100 revolutions pills. 1 pill will not be able to expel all the impurities in the body. 2 pills won't have any effect either. Therefore, these 2 pills are the best combination. It can change one's physique to the most perfect state. I'm doing this for the sake of the people who bid for the pills." Hearing Sima Yue's words, the gloominess in the hearts of those people was swept away, and they started bidding again. As long as one had the ability, they would want to participate in the bidding. In the end, the 2 pills were auctioned off by the Alchemists Guild for 1,800,000. She saw that she had missed out on the 100 revolutions pill, and was extremely vexed. She never thought that such a situation would occur, so she did not bring that many gold coins with her. She could only watch as the Alchemists Guild bid for the pills. "Princess, don't be angry. These 2 pills are gone. But doesn't Miss Qin still have one? When the time comes, we can ask them to contribute that pill. You can also increase your innate talent." The people accompanying her advised. "But 1 pill is not enough to achieve the best results. I want 2. She's face darkened. "We can't touch the Alchemist Guild, but isn't there another pill? When the time comes, we will naturally have a way to gather 200 revolutions pills for the princess." That better be the case. When she heard this, her expression softened a little. Sima Yue was overjoyed in the private room. 1 pill was 500,000 yuan. 1 pill was 550,000 yuan. And the remaining 2 pills were 1,800,000 yuan. In total, She had 2,850,000 yuan. Adding on the cold ice pills 65,000 yuan, she had earned 2,915,000 yuan today. After deducting the commission and the tens of thousands that she spent on the items, she still had 2 million yuan. I'm rich, I'm rich. Her eyes narrowed into slits as little Roar looked at her with disdain. The wave of the 100 revolutions pill had yet to pass when the last auction item was brought up. There was only one book lying quietly on the tray, but just like before, it stirred up the atmosphere of the entire auction hall. Junlon picked up the spirit technique book and showed it to everyone, then put it back and said, "This is our last auction item tonight, an ice attribute profound grade high-tier spirit technique. As everyone knows, wind, thunder, and ice is a rarely seen attribute. This spirit technique is also relatively rare, and this ice attribute spirit technique is a profound grade high-tier spirit technique. It is definitely a spirit technique that everyone yearns for even in their dreams. The starting price is 30,000 yuan. Begin the bidding." When Sima Yue heard Junlan's words, her eyes narrowed as she muttered, "Ice attribute spirit technique. It seems like we are lacking this right now." Chapter 197. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor Chapter 197. Competing for the Spiritual Skill Chapter 197. Competing for the spiritual skill Wei Ziqi's attributes were the ice and wood attributes. The wood attribute's attack power was not strong at the moment, and although the ice attribute's battle prowess was very good, because it did not have a strong spiritual skill, it made him the person with the lowest battle prowess in the team. Although there were a few spiritual skills in the Spirit Pagoda, after fusing with the 7-layered pagoda, the higher-level spiritual skills were sealed and thrown to the higher levels. This made her depressed for a long time. If she had known earlier, she would have taken them out before the fusion. While she was thinking about it, the bid had already reached 500,000 yuan. Crazy! Fatty Chu saw that the bid had reached such a high level, and his jaw almost fell to the ground. When Wei Ziqi first heard that it was an ice attribute spiritual skill, he was extremely excited. However, as the price continued to rise, his excited heart slowly calmed down. Even if he had found it with great difficulty, it did not belong to him. Everyone in the room could see the disappointment in his eyes. Ouyang Fei patted his shoulder and said, "You will meet even better ones in the future." Wei Ziqi smiled. 550,000. This bid caused the four of them to be startled. They subconsciously looked outside, only to see a tightly shut door. This is... Although they did not know what method Sima Yue used to change her voice, they knew that this was her bidding. Private room number 3 bids 550,000. Are there any higher bids? Junlon asked. Once Sima Yue called out, many people gave up. They did not have the ice attribute, and were only bidding for fun. If they were to be hated by an alchemist because of this, it would not be worth it. 600,000. Shiyushi was unhappy that Sima Yue had tied the 100 revolutions pill to the auction and was competing with her. With the addition of the other powers, the bid for the spiritual skill had reached 1,200,000. Miss Junlon, this is my first time participating in this kind of auction. I have a question to ask. Sima Yue suddenly asked. We are bidding right now. What are you doing? Shiyushi said unhappily. It is because we are bidding that I have a question to ask. Sima Yue said. Please ask. Junlon said. You have to pay on the spot for this auction, right? Or can I put the price here first, bid for the item, and then go back to raise the money? Sima Yue asked. The people below were stunned for a moment. They didn't expect her to ask this question. What if I bid but don't have the money to pay? Sima Yue continued. I'm not looking for trouble. It's just that I've never attended an auction before, so I don't know much about it. Junlon wasn't angry and said, if it's an empty bid, then you'll be blacklisted by our auction house forever. You won't be allowed to enter any of our branches. You won't kill me, right? Sima Yue asked in fear. There's no need for Junlon to say that. Junlon smiled and said, Can we continue? Oh, I have no more questions. Let's continue. Sima Yue said, 1. 25 million. After her interruption, the number of people bidding decreased by quite a bit. They were just trying to create a ruckus. Now that Sima Yue reminded them, if no one bid after they bid, then they would have kicked an iron plate. 130 million. She insisted. 140 million. Sima Yue directly added 100,000. 150 million. Very quickly the price was raised to 170 million. Now only she and Shi were left. 180 million. After Sima Yue finished bidding, she said, "This is already the highest price I'm willing to pay. If Princess likes it, then add a bit more. I won't fight with you over it." Shi, who was about to bid, swallowed her words. This Sima Yue was sure that she didn't bring much money. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let the Alchemists Guild bid 180 million for the 100 Revolutions pill. She wanted to continue bidding. But if Sima Yue really wasn't willing to bid, and she didn't have much money, then she would forever be blacklisted by the ugly person. The West Moon Kingdom's emperor had always said not to offend this auction house. This meant that even the royal family couldn't afford to offend them. If this really happened tonight, then she wouldn't be able to answer to her royal father. "You win." She retracted her hand and didn't bid anymore. She hoped that others would bid, but the wealthiest Alchemist Guild spirit masters were of the fire attribute. The Beast Tamer Guild liked books on mental strength. The Alchemist Guild also didn't want to make an enemy out of Sima Yue. They had already withdrawn from the bidding. Thus Sima Yue used 180 million to bid for the spirit skill. When the last item was auctioned off, the oppressive aura disappeared. The spirit paragon left. Tonight's auction has come to an end. The items have already been delivered to everyone's hands. Those who bid can leave through our teleportation array. Junlan said, "I'm very happy to have spent this wonderful night with everyone. See you next time." After saying this, she turned around and left the stage. The auction house's doors opened, and those people left one after another. Sima Yue waited until most of the people below had left before she stood up and left the room. The servant girl outside was still waiting for her. "Your Honor, please follow me." Her item hadn't been delivered yet. She knew that the other party was waiting for her to go personally. The servant girl brought her to a room. Sima Yue wasn't worried that they would do anything harmful to her. Although Chongming didn't come, he was currently sitting in the auction house. "Your servant greets your honor." Junlan came in from outside and bowed to Sima Yue with a smile. "Miss Junlan." Sima Yue wasn't surprised to see her and nodded at her. Junlan saw Sima Yue's reaction and knew that she was putting on an act. However, she didn't say anything. She turned around and took a tray from the servant girl beside her, saying, "This is the book you bid for, and the remaining money, after bidding for the spirit skill. As our esteemed guest, we only take 10,000 as a service fee. If it's someone else, we'll charge you 3%. A 3% service fee. 2,850,000 was 85,000. This meant that they were giving her a discount of 70,000. He was trying to get on her good side. "Thank you." Sima Yue calmly placed the spirit skill and the crystal card with 1,040,000 gold coins into her spatial ring. "Also, our pavilion master said that to thank your honor for selling the 100 Revolutions pill formula to us, he would like to give your honor a few small gifts. He hopes that your honor will kindly accept them." After Junlan finished speaking, she took out another tray and placed a spatial ring on it. Sima Yue was a little surprised by this. Although she knew how rich this ugly person was after tonight, and regretted selling the formula for 600,000, she didn't have any other thoughts. She didn't think that the other party would take the initiative to give her something. However, it was just enough to make up for the disappointment in her heart. Please remember our address. Download it here. Chapter 198. She took the spatial ring and put it on her finger without even looking inside. "Many thanks for that," she said. "Is there anything else?" "No more." Junlan saw that Sima Yue was neither pretentious nor arrogant, so she had a good impression of her. She smiled and said, "The others should have left by now. I'll bring you to the teleportation array." "Thank you. Please." Junlon brought Sima Yue to the teleportation portal and sent her off personally. She only heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Sima Yue disappear into the portal. Mississippi, Master Li and his master appeared behind her. So this Junlon was actually Ugly Person's daughter. Who would have thought that she would personally host tonight's auction? Old Master, that esteemed one is a little unhappy, but he probably doesn't hold a grudge against us. Junlon said, next time, don't do something so imprudent. Once such a person knew that he had been tricked, it was impossible for him to not care. If they hold a grudge against us, it will be a big problem for us. Do you understand? You're right, young miss, the old man replied. All right, you can all leave. Junlon waved her hand and said, Miss, how long do you plan to stay here this time? Manager Li asked. Junlon thought for a moment then said, I originally came for this auction. Since it's over, I'll stay for another 2 days before leaving. Yes. All right, change that ugly freak's door sign for me, Junlon said with a frown. But young miss, it was young master who asked someone to put it there. He even said that I'm not allowed to change. Manager Li said awkwardly. I don't know where that prodigal is playing now. Don't bother about him. Change it for me, Junlon said helplessly as she rubbed the space between her eyebrows. Yes. I'll find someone to change it tomorrow. Sima Yue felt a little dizzy. When she opened her eyes, she did not know where she was in the city. She sensed that there was no one around, and had Mo Sha retract his power. She quickly took off her cloak, and returned to her usual self. After walking 2 streets, Chongming appeared in the air. Chongming, you're so fast. Sima Yue smiled at him. Wei Ziqi said that you definitely won't be able to find your way back after coming out, and asked me to come and fetch you. Chongming landed beside Sima Yue. Do you know which street they are on? Sima Yue asked. You don't need to know. After speaking, he hugged Sima Yue's waist and took her into the air, flying towards the direction of the mercenary group. Ordinary people were not allowed to fly in the city, but with Chongming's aura, the people below did not sense their presence. Chongming directly brought her to the courtyard where they were temporarily staying. In the courtyard, Bei Gong Tang and the others were waiting for her. They only relaxed when they saw her return. Yue, why did you wait so long before coming back? Fatty Chu asked when he saw that Sima Yue was not acting strangely. I waited there for a while. Then I was delayed by something. Sima Yue said. She did not tell them that she could not find her bearings after coming out of the teleportation array, and had walked 2 rounds on the streets. Since you're back, you guys should rest early. I'll head back first. Bai Yinchi said and left. Let's go rest too. Bei Gong Tang patted Little Tu's head and brought him to sleep, leaving Wei Ziqi and the others in the courtyard. Sima Yue said, let's go inside and talk. When they reached the room, everyone found a seat and sat down. Sima Yue took out something and threw it at Wei Ziqi. Wei Ziqi subconsciously caught it, and only then did he see clearly what it was, and his face was filled with shock. Yue, this? It's the Ice Attribute Spirit Skill book that was auctioned tonight. Sima Yue said. Didn't you happen to be lacking an Ice Attribute Spirit Skill? I bought it for you. You. Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yue, and then looked at the Spirit Skill book in his hands. He was so moved that he could not speak. What the heck, Yue, this Spirit Skill book was auctioned for 1.8 million gold coins. Fatty Chu swallowed his saliva fiercely. She gave it to Wei Ziqi just like that. Chongming, who had followed them in, was also stunned. He did not think that Sima Yue would actually give away such a valuable item so casually. Although he did not have much concept of money, he knew that 1.8 million gold coins was not a small amount. He also knew that she only had a few thousand gold coins on her, and was still worrying about how to get the money to bid for the glass pearl. 1.8 million gold coins was a huge sum to her. Yue, this item is too valuable. I can't accept it. Although Wei Ziqi had thought that Sima Yue might have bought it for him, he still felt like he was in a dream when she really gave it to him. All right, if I don't give it to you, there's no point in me keeping it. Sima Yue waved her hands. I'm not an Ice Attribute Spirit Skill. Since Yue is giving it to you, you should accept it. Ouyang Fei said from the side. That's right, you don't have many special attribute spirit skills. It's not easy to find such a good one. If you didn't buy it, then forget it. But since Yue has already bought it for you, why are you still rejecting it? Fatty Chu added. Alright. Wei Ziqi knew that there was no point in him rejecting it now. He looked at Sima Yue and said, Yue, thank you. I'm not used to you being so polite. Sima Yue said with a smile. Anyway, this was obtained using other people's money. Speaking of which, other than the ones we bought, there's still quite a bit left. We can be considered as rich people now. That's right. This is the money from the auction for your cold ice pill. We got it back for you, Wei Ziqi said as he took out a crystal card. Sima Yue received the crystal card and took out the one Ouyang Fei gave her. She returned it to him and said, I didn't use it, but thank you. Ouyang Fei didn't say anything and nodded his head, keeping the crystal card. What a pity, one of the 100 revolutions pills was actually bought by that which Qin Wan. Fatty Chu thought of this and felt a little depressed. You think that Qin Wan could really eat that 100 revolutions pill? Wei Ziqi asked with a smile. Ah, didn't she buy it? Fatty Chu looked at him suspiciously, but she didn't buy it. Ouyang Fei said. With their reminder, Fatty Chu instantly understood. You're saying that she didn't buy the 100 revolutions pill and went to ask Qin Wan for it. Not only Qin Wan. I think that the other person who bought it also didn't have the fortune to enjoy it. Wei Ziqi said. It would be best if you could eat too. It would definitely give Shi some ideas. She wouldn't dare to touch the Alchemist Guild, but the other two powers might not. That night, Qin Wan and her father returned to the mercenary group. Just as they were about to take the pill, someone came in to report that the princess had arrived. Qin Ming's face sunk when he heard the report. He was about to let Qin Wan eat the pill, but he didn't expect that Shi had already brought 2 elders in. At the same time, the other power that had bought the 100 revolutions pill also had 2 elders bringing a group of people to knock on their door. Chapter 199. On the second day, Ugly Person changed its name. Ugly Person was shrunk into a very small word, and below it were 3 words written in flamboyant calligraphy. Xian Yuan Pavilion. When Sima Yue heard Bai Yunqi say this as a joke, she immediately thought of Dongcheng Kingdom's Xian Yuan Pavilion. She wondered if the two were related. However, this had nothing to do with her, and she did not think about it. Instead, she placed all her attention on Little Tuesday. She had already unblocked Little Tu's meridians twice. Little Tu said that he could already feel spiritual energy, but he could not guide it into his body. Now that she had nothing to do in West Moon Kingdom, she could go to Central Wu Kingdom after unblocking all of Little Tu's meridians. 3 days after the auction ended, she unblocked Little Tu's meridians once again. Little Tu held the cold ice pill. Thinking about how this pill was sold for 30,000 gold coins at the auction, he felt that it was very important. It was not the pill, but Sima Yue's kindness to him. Sima Yue saw Little Tu holding the pill in a daze and lightly flicked his forehead, saying, Why aren't you eating it? Why are you in a daze? Little Tu came back to his senses and ate the pill, then waited for the pill to take effect. Just as Sima Yue was unblocking Little Tu's meridians, Shi went to the domineering army again. Greetings to Princess. Although they were unhappy with Shi forcefully buying the 100 revolutions pill, Qin Ming and the rest still bowed to her. Uncle, I've come this time to tell you something. Shi sat down and looked at Qin Ming. I found out who killed little uncle. You found out? Qin Ming looked at Shi in shock, secretly sighing that the imperial family's power was indeed much stronger. Shi nodded, saying, When Imperial Mother received news of little uncle's death, she sent people to investigate. When I came out of seclusion this morning, Imperial Mother sent the news over. What did your Imperial Mother say? Qin Ming asked. She said that it was done by those people from the San Gull Army. Sima Yue, Wei Ziqi, Bei Gongtang, Ouyang Fei and someone they called Fatty. Shi said. Bei Gongtang? Qin Wan cried out in surprise. Isn't she the one who beat me up back then? I heard them calling each other Bei Gong, Ziqi and so on. So it's those people. She recalled the time when she was teased by Sima Yue, and her expression turned ugly. It was as if she wanted to tear her to shreds. Then I will immediately bring some men, to bring those people here to be dealt with, Qin Ming said as he stood up. Killing my younger brother, and still daring to come to Peace City. These people are indeed bold. Want to accompany your cousin? With that he strode out, and called a few people over to the Sangul mercenary group. Bai Yin Chun was in the midst of discussing the mission he had just received with the other captains of the regiment. He said, "This mission is not ordinary, and I intend to go personally. Ran, after I leave, I'll leave the matters of the group to you." "Alright, don't worry." Sun Ran nodded and said, "But you still have to bring a few more people. It's better to be safe than sorry." I know," Bai Yin Chun said. "Next, let's make a detailed plan for this mission." A guard came in and said, "Regiment Commander, the domineering regiment commander has come." "Qin Ming? What did he come here for?" Sun Ran asked. The two mercenary groups had never been on good terms. Why did Qin Ming suddenly run over? Could it be that they found out about Qin Wu's death? The guard had not returned when Qin Wu's voice sounded. "What are you doing?" "Naturally. I'm here to ask for an explanation from your Sangul mercenary group." Following his voice, Qin Ming stepped over the threshold and entered the meeting room. Seeing Qin Wu, Bai Yin Chun stood up with a whoosh and said coldly, "Qin Ming, what did you bring people here for?" Qin Ming stood in the middle of the meeting room and flicked his sleeves, saying, "I already said that I'm here to ask for an explanation." "What explanation?" "My younger brother Qin Wu was killed by Sima Yue and the others. Right now those people are with you. I want you to hand them over." Bai Yin Chun's eyes narrowed. It was indeed this matter. How did they find out? "What does your younger brother being killed have to do with our guests? Go back. If you want to find someone to take revenge, go find the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range," Sun Ran said without any trace of politeness. We've already found out. My younger brother was killed by Sima Yue and the others. Furthermore, these people are with you right now. I advise you to hand them over," Qin Ming said. "Princess already knows about this matter, and wants us to capture the culprits that killed my younger brother. I think that you wouldn't want to go against the imperial family, right?" Bai Yin Chun and Sun Ran were shocked by this news. Was the imperial family going to take action? Your younger brother's death was his own doing. He wanted to kill my son and Yue. However, his skills were inferior and he was killed, Bai Yin Chun said. Not to mention that Yue and the others killed Qin Wu to save my son. Even if it's just for the sake of the people, it's impossible for us to hand them over to you. Qin Ming's gaze was malicious as he looked at Bai Yin Chun and said, "You really don't want to hand them over? Handing them over is an impossible matter." Bai Yin Chun snorted coldly. "Bai Yin Chun, don't regret this," Qin Ming shouted. Bai Yin Chun looked at Qin Ming without fear. "They are now my Sangul's guests. As long as they are in Peace City, I will ensure their safety. Qin Ming, please go back." "Good, very good." Qin Ming laughed coldly. "I hope you don't regret this decision of yours." After he finished speaking, he flung his sleeves and angrily left with his men. Sun Ran watched Qin Ming leave and said worriedly, "Brother Chun, this domineering army has always been eyeing us covetously. They want to swallow us up and become the #1 mercenary group. Now that the imperial family has intervened, would they want to take this opportunity to?" She did not finish her sentence, but everyone in the room understood what she meant. "No matter what, we cannot hand over Yin Qi's friends. They saved Yin Qi's life, so we cannot repay their kindness with enmity," Bai Yin Chun said. "Leader, I think that Qin Ming did not come with good intentions. Why don't we give up on this mission and leave our men in Peace City just in case?" Someone suggested. Bai Yin Chun thought for a while and shook his head. "This mission is very important to our mercenary group. If we give it up, we don't know when we will encounter it again. How about this? I will leave my men in Peace City and only bring a few men with me." Qin Ming brought his men away from the Sanguls and turned into a street. The anger on his face disappeared, and turned into a smile. Leader, that Bai Yun Chun actually did not want to hand over the people. He really doesn't want to live anymore. Someone beside Qin Ming said. I know that he will not hand them over. Qin Ming said. Then why did we still make this trip? What I want is for him to not hand them over. This way, we will have an excuse to deal with them, and also have an excuse to let little sister send people over. Sand gulls, this time I will definitely destroy Bai Yun Chun and swallow the sand gulls. When that time comes, the #1 mercenary group in the West Moon Kingdom will be ours. Leader is wise. Chapter 200. Regarding the matter of Qin Ming coming to ask for them, Bai Yuan Chun and the rest did not tell Sima Yue and the rest. Nobody wanted them to leave, fearing that they would be captured by Qin Ming's men the moment they left. When Qin Ming returned, he told Shi Yushi about Bai Yuan Chun's unwillingness to hand over the person he was talking about. He even added some oil to the fire, saying that the other party did not put her and the imperial family in his eyes and so on. She was so angry that she slammed the table and scolded him, saying that she would pursue this matter to the end with Sandgull. Princess, that Bai Yuan Chun is an expert at the level of a spirit elder. If we don't get rid of him first, it won't be easy to make a move on the Sandgull mercenaries. Qin Wan understood her father's thoughts and knew that he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to make a move on the Sandgull mercenaries. No wonder he's so arrogant. Shi Yushi laughed coldly. Men. Here. 2 guards came in and said to Shi Yushi, what orders does Princess have? The 2 of you, go back and tell Mother to send 2 spirit paragons over. Shi Yushi ordered. Yes, Princess. The 2 of them left and headed straight for the teleportation array. Qin Wan and Qin Ming looked at each other, and a faint smile appeared on their faces. Princess, Captain, according to the news we've received, the Sand Gulls have received a mission that is very important to them. It seems that Bai Yun Chun is planning to go personally. Perhaps we can take care of him outside. Then, wouldn't the Sand Gull be at the mercy of the princess and the commander? Someone suggested. Oh, go and investigate clearly where Bai Yuan Chun went. Shi Yushi said. Yes, Princess. 5 days later, Sima Yue was cultivating in the courtyard. She planned to unblock Little Two's last 3 meridians in 2 days, and then leave for the imperial capital. She would then transfer to the teleportation array to the Central Wu Kingdom. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside, and Bai Yunqi's voice could be heard. She stopped cultivating, opened the door, and went out. In the courtyard, Fatty Chu and the others were talking to Bai Yunqi. Bai Yunqi's condition wasn't very good. Her body was covered with injuries. She was shocked and asked, what happened? Yue, last time you said that you were an alchemist and a doctor, right? Bai Yunqi ran over and grabbed her hand. Yes. Are you hurt? Let me see. Sima Yue said. Really? This is great. Yue, quick, save my father. As Bai Yunqi spoke, she pulled Sima Yue and ran towards Bai Yuan Chun's courtyard. Wei Ziqi and the others looked at each other and followed. When Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the main courtyard, they saw that there were many people outside. When they saw them, some of them looked unfriendly, which made Sima Yue suspicious. All of you get out of the way. Bai Yunqi was blocked outside the room and couldn't get close to the room. She shouted at those people. Young master, why did you bring them here? Captain is like this because of them. Someone said unhappily. Wei Ziqi and the rest stopped in their tracks. Was it because of them that they were injured? What was going on? Get out of my way. Bai Yunqi roared. But those people were still blocking the courtyard. Let them come over. Sun Ranran came out of the house and said. Her voice was not loud, but everyone in the courtyard was stunned, and they consciously made a path for her. Yue quickly. Bai Yunqi pulled her through the courtyard and came to the front of the room. Madam, Sima Yue saw that Sun Ranran's face was pale, as if she had suffered a huge blow. Come in. Sun Ranran nodded at her and opened the door to enter. Sima Yue followed her in, but before she even entered the room, she could smell the thick stench of blood. Bai Yuan Chun was lying on the bed, exhaling more air than inhaling. The alchemist and doctor said that there was no other way. Yun Qi said that you have medical skills, and insisted that you try again. Sun Ranran's voice was trembling. Sima Yue did not know how Bai Yuan Chun had suddenly suffered such a heavy injury, so she said, "Let me take a look at uncle's condition first." After she finished speaking, she came to the front of the bed and took a quick look. Then, she took out a pill and fed it to him. Vitality recovery pill. The alchemist who was standing to the side saw the pill that Sima Yue took out, and said in astonishment. When Sun Ranran heard about the vitality recovery pill, she was also shocked because this was a 5th-ranked pill. It was one of the best medicines out of all the medicines. As long as the person had a single breath, they would not die. Moreover, very few people were able to refine it. She never thought that Sima Yue would be able to casually take out such a pill. Sima Yue looked at the alchemist, and did not say anything. She continued to check on Bai Yuan Chun's condition. "Yue, how is my father?" Bai Yunqi asked. Sima Yue checked on Bai Yuan Chun's condition. It could no longer be described as bad, so she said, "His condition is not good. Don't disturb me." Sun Ranran looked at Sima Yue, and thought that there was still a way to save Bai Yuan Chun. She took 2 steps forward and pulled on Bai Yunqi, indicating that he should not speak. Sima Yue congealed a ball of flame, and controlled it to burn off Bai Yuan Chun's clothes. Then, she took out a box of silver needles, and inserted a few tins of needles into his stomach and head. Then, she watched as his body slowly healed under the effects of the vitality recovery pill. "Yue." Bai Yunqi did not speak, while she was inserting the needles. When he saw her stand up, he opened his mouth to ask. Everyone in the room looked at her, waiting for her results. Other than the wounds on his body, Uncle's internal organs have been ruptured. His meridians have all been broken. Unless he is reborn, even if his life is saved, he can only stay in bed. Sima Yue said. Sun Ranran's body swayed, and she retreated 2 steps. Bai Yunqi hurriedly went forward to support her. "Mother, what happened to you?" Sun Ranran shook her head and tried her best to stabilize her mind, saying, "At least his life is saved." Although she thought this way, 2 streams of tears still fell from her eyes. "Yue, are those needles going to be like this forever?" Bai Yunqi asked. "These needles are temporarily used by me to stabilize his meridians, so that his meridians will not continue to shrink." Sima Yue said. "As for his internal injuries, he can only wait for the vitality recovery pill to heal." "Thank you," Sun Ranran said. Originally, the doctors and alchemists had said that there was no other way. Who would have thought that she would actually be able to save his life? This was a bit easier for them to accept. "Yue, my father's meridians are all broken. Is it really impossible to recover?" Bai Yunqi still could not accept that his own father could only lie in bed like this and asked. "I just said, unless he is reborn, he can only stay in bed for the rest of his life." Sima Yue said with certainty. "Madam, young master, this group leader has suffered such serious injuries. It is already not easy to save his life." A doctor in the room said. "What do you mean not easy? Get out of here, all of you useless things." Bai Yunqi heard the doctor's words and roared angrily. "All of you can leave." Sun Ranran stood up and said to Bai Yunqi, "Yunqi, send them out." "Yes, mother." Bai Yunqi saw her mother like this. Although she was extremely unwilling, she still obediently sent all of them out. At that moment, only Sima Yue and Sun Ranran were left in the room. Sun Ranran looked at her and said, "You still have something to say just now, right? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."